not just for their beauty. The estate has become one of his grandson Prince George's favorite place to play, just like it was for George's father the Duke of Cambridge and his uncle Prince Harry. The Prince of Wales had previously revealed he had refurbished the treehouse built in the run-up to Prince William's 7th birthday so that George could play in it. The treehouse was created in 1989 following the drawings of Cotswold architect William Bertram. Mr. Bertram had interviewed William and Harry, then aged 3 and 5, to build a treehouse. When asked how he would have liked to be his new playground, Prince William said, "I want it to be as high as possible so I can get away from everyone, and I want a rope ladder which I can pull up so no one can get at me." Prince Charles has also confessed he had enjoyed a session of gardening in Heathgrove when little George was just 2 years old. Despite the young age, George helped his grandfather plant 2 new trees. But George and his siblings surely have also created a bit of turmoil in the peaceful gardens. When Prince Charles was presented with a beautiful but fragile oriental beech sapling the adorable 4-year-old is pictured sitting on his father, the Duke of Cambridge's lap, and grinning as much as his cheeks would allow him with his mother the Duchess of Cambridge, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Princess Charlotte, Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall. Kensington Palace released 4 official photographs this evening taken by celebrity photographer Matt Holyoke. The images include a shot of Kate alone with Prince Louis in the gardens of Clarence House, as well as a group shot of both sides of Kate and William's family, including Meghan and James Matthews, Pippa's husband. In one picture of just the Cambridge family, the Duke of Cambridge has his hand lovingly placed on Prince George's shoulder as he looks sweetly at the camera standing beside Princess Charlotte. In another photo, Prince George is holding his hands together between his legs and he has his hair combed back smartly. Prince George walked hand in hand with his father, the Duke of Cambridge, into the Chapel Royal at St. James's Palace for the ceremony. The 4-year-old wore blue shorts and a white button-down shirt with blue trimming by Amaya Kids. The christening of Prince George took place in the same place as Prince Louis in October 2013. Although the Queen and Prince Philip attended the christening of Prince George and Princess Charlotte, they did not make it to Prince Louis. A statement said, "The decision has not been made on health grounds and it is understood to have been mutually agreed by the Queen and the Cambridges some time ago." The christening for Prince Louis was held in the afternoon, while Princess Charlotte and Prince George's christenings both took place in the morning. The private ceremony on Monday was held at Chapel Royal at St. James's Palace in London, using water from the River Jordan, and it was the first time the Cambridges were seen together as a family of 5. Prince Louis appeared to be sleeping in his mother's arms for the pictures, having grown some fine hair since he was born. Kate was dressed in a creamy Alexander McQueen dress with a V-neck and a Jane Taylor hat. The Duchess of Cambridge looked completely elated and gazed at Louis, who was dressed in a replica of the gown commissioned by Queen Victoria for the christening of her daughter, Victoria, in 1841. The gown was the same one worn by Prince George and Princess Charlotte at their own ceremonies in 2013 and 2015. Kate's parents were also at the ceremony, her brother and sister, James and Pippa, and Louis' 6 godparents who are close friends or relatives of the Duke and Duchess. The new 5th in line to the throne was baptized in Anglican with the full name of Louis Arthur Charles of Cambridge in a private ceremony in the same chapel where Prince George was christening in October 2013. The service was conducted by the Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby, who wrote on Twitter, "I'm delighted and privileged to be christening Prince Louis today, a precious child made in God's." Regardless of the weather, the Duke and Duchess' eldest son always wears shorts during public appearances. According to a royal expert, Young boys wear shorts as a sign of being a member of the upper-class British elite. Prince George, 4, is a member of the royal family and third in line to the throne, so much uphold this tradition. Etiquette expert William Hanson told Harper's Bazaar, "It's a very English thing to dress a young boy in shorts. Trousers are for older boys and men, whereas shorts on young boys is one of those silent class markers that we have in England. Although times are slowly changing, a pair of trousers on a young boy is considered quite middle class, quite suburban. And no self-respecting aristo or royal would want to be considered suburban. Even the Duchess of Cambridge. However, when a boy turns 8, he is then able to wear trousers. This means his younger brother Louis, who was born on April 23 this year, will follow the same custom. When they get older, there will still be clothing rules similar to what Prince William and Prince Harry followed when they were growing up. They may wear suits during formal events and chinos with shirts for more informal settings. The princes are unlikely to be seen wearing jeans, as this is deemed too casual. Etiquette expert Grant Harold explained to the BBC, "Many places will not allow jeans as they are still seen as very casual wear, so it is better to play safe for both sexes." Prince George was last seen in public for Prince Louis' christening at St. James's Palace last week. All members of the royal family are expected to bow and curtsy to the Queen at public outings. Despite children not being required to strictly follow all the rules of the royal protocol, they still have to pay their respects to their great-grandmother. This means that even little Prince George, 5, and Princess Charlotte, 3, will have to learn how to curtsy at quite a young age. Historian Marlene Eilers-Koenig believes that Prince George, who turned 5 last Sunday, may have started doing it already. According to the tradition, she explained, royal children start bowing and curtsying when they turn 5. She told Hello! Certainly by age 5. The only person they will curtsy or bow to is the sovereign. A royal highness does not curtsy to another royal highness. Yes, there are articles that state this, but it is not true. According to Miss Eilers-Koenig, royals have to curtsy and bow only to the sovereign, never to another royal highness. She continued, curtsying and bowing is etiquette, nothing to do with precedence. You bow or curtsy the first time you see the sovereign and then again when you leave. At Christmas at church, we saw the Cambridges and Prince Harry and Meghan curtsy and bow when the Queen arrived and left. Other royals including Charles did not because they had come from Sandringham and had already seen the Queen. Meghan Markle had to learn how to properly pay her respects to the monarch ahead of her wedding with Prince Harry. She was first seen performing a perfect curtsy to the Queen in Sandringham last year, when the former actress joined the royals for the Christmas Day service. Meanwhile, little Princess Charlotte seems very eager to start following this royal rule and has already been seen practicing it. The African-American diocesan disclosed he was diagnosed several months ago after an annual physical and announced he will have surgery on Tuesday to remove the prostate gland. In a letter, which was released by the church, Bishop Curry wrote, "After a variety of tests, consultations and conversations with my wife and daughters, I decided on a surgical treatment course. I am happy to say that the prognosis looks very good and quite positive. I have spoken with several others who have gone through this, and who have offered both encouragement and helpful advice. I will be in the hospital for at least a day, then at home to recuperate." The diocesan added his recuperation time will be between 4 and 6 weeks. Despite the surgery, Bishop Curry claimed he does not anticipate any changes to his commitments. He is scheduled to speak at a fundraiser for Day One Media Ministry in Atlanta on September 6. In the letter, Bishop Curry continued, "I am very blessed with a wonderful family, a first-rate medical team, a great staff, dear colleagues and friends, a calling to which I have given my life, and above all a good, great and loving God in whose hands we always remain. So, do say a prayer. And know that I look forward to being back at my post in September." The Most Rev Bishop Michael Curry, the first black presiding bishop and primate of the Episcopal Church, gave an address titled "The Power of Love" at the royal wedding. The U.S. bishop, along with the gospel choir, brought a flavor of the American bride's homeland with the speech at St. George's Chapel in Windsor. Bride and groom Meghan and Harry, as well as other members of the royal family, appeared to hold back laughter as the energetic Curry praised for 14 minutes high heavens and preached about the power of love. His down-to-earth quote to young people. Aside from their shared military careers, these candid archive images proved the pair have an uncanny royal resemblance. From the same piercing blue eyes, strong jawline and brow, slender nose and thin lips, it was clear from a very young age that Harry was a carbon copy of his grandfather. Like the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Harry, 33, has also served in the armed forces, boasting 10 years of service, including 2 tours of Afghanistan. Meanwhile, the Queen's husband joined the Navy from school in 1939 aged 18 and went on to serve with distinction in the Mediterranean. He also saw battle in the Second World War, and many royal insiders tipped him to go all the way in the senior service and become its chief or First Sea Lord. Here the Duke of Edinburgh is pictured as an officer in the Royal Navy in December 1946, while his grandson is seen before meeting Bahamas Governor-General Arthur Foulkes in March 2012, in Nassau. Pictured with a steely stare and the perfect jawline, it's hard not to notice the striking resemblances between the pair. And in a third image, Prince Philip is pictured while serving in the Royal Navy during a visit to Melbourne in Australia, in August 1945, while Prince Harry is seen at the opening of the Field of Remembrance, at Westminster Abbey, in November 2016. Both men sport long beards, with Prince Philip growing his out at sea during his time in the Navy in his younger years, while Prince Harry first grew a beard at the end of 2013 when he undertook a Walking with the Wounded charity trek to the South Pole. He kept his facial hair on his return to Britain, with the Sunday Express revealing that his grandmother, the Queen, was not impressed. A royal insider said at the time, "The rest of the family liked it and were taking the mickey, especially his cousin Zara, who dubbed him Prince Harry." But the Queen soon let her displeasure be known. She doesn't mind royal men growing beards when they are away in the armed forces or out in the wilds like Harry was in the Antarctic, but she expects them to be clean-shaven when they get home. Despite this, Prince Harry has continued to don whiskers in recent years and even sported his ginger facial hair during his royal wedding to Meghan Markle. The singer, 71, reunited with the Duke of Sussex, 33, at the AIDS 2018 summit in Amsterdam, Holland just 2 months after he performed at Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding reception in Windsor. "I am honored to be sharing the stage with someone who has always put people at the center of his work," Prince Harry told the audience. For over a quarter of a century he has worked tirelessly to fund research services and communities around the world. Today, he has come to Amsterdam to announce his latest endeavor, a billion-dollar global partnership to break the cycle of male transition of HIV, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. Young people are the only age group where HIV infections are rising, not falling, said Sir Elton. "We have to do much, much more to bring men, especially younger men, more fully into the fold," Harry told young advocates from St. Paul, the charity he co-founded. "More and more leaders, They should be using the younger generation and the experiences you have. I'm 33 years old and I already feel out of touch. We have to put power into the hands of the younger generation. Because that's where the solutions are going to come from. That's where the prince jokingly asked which camera he should aim for as he turned his hand to archery during a visit at Twickenham Stadium this afternoon. Harry, 33, is at the South West London Stadium for the RFU Injured Players Foundation's annual client forum. He is meeting a number of former rugby players who have been supported by the charity following life-changing injuries. The forum will aim to enable injured players and their families to learn more about IF's support program. It comes a day after Harry appeared alongside his wife Meghan Markle to attend an exhibition to mark one. Harry told leading figures that the UK and Ireland had a very special relationship between two proud, sovereign countries. He also made fun of his father, Prince Charles, saying how pleased he was to see that the recent trip by his father to Ireland had not bored them senseless. In his speech, the Duke of Sussex acknowledged the history between Ireland and the UK and told guests, "We're so pleased to be here for our first official international visit together as a married couple, and we hope it will be the first of many." As each other's closest neighbors, the UK and Ireland's relationship is unique. Our shared history is long and complex. There have of course been challenging, and at times tragic, periods of that relationship. Tomorrow we hope to have the opportunity to reflect on some of those difficult passages in our history when we visit Croke Park and the Famine Memorial. Prince Harry added that the visit will also be used to celebrate just how much unites the UK and Ireland. He continued, "This is a very special relationship between two proud, sovereign countries. We share common values, culture, business links, family ties, and possibly a similar sense of humor. Our relationship is of course informed by our history, but it is also one which is now dynamic and forward-looking." The royal couple started a 2-day tour of Dublin and celebrated the Irish as soon as they stepped from their private plane. At the official Dublin residence of Britain's ambassador to Ireland, Meghan wore a Givenchy creation in a color that surely flattered the Irish. She wore a black dress for the RAF 100th celebrations earlier. Then she went for a green Givenchy skirt and top as she arrived in Dublin before changing into a little black dress. The pair are due to visit key attractions including Trinity College, where they will see the Book of Kells, and participate in a Gaelic sports festival at Croke Park. Also, the Duke and Duchess will visit the Famine Memorial, where they will have a moment for reflection before visiting Etiquette, which is the Irish Emigration Museum. Meghan and Harry will hear the story of the 10 million Irish people who have emigrated across the world. Commenting on the tour, Kensington Palace added, "The royal couple are looking forward to learning more about Ireland's history and experiencing its rich culture, as well as meeting the people who are shaping the country's future." Meghan and Harry are. Prince Harry and his new wife Meghan Markle were posing for photos with Irish President Michael D. Higgins inside the Arras, when Harry was asked by a reporter if football was coming home. "Most definitely," the Duke replied, laughing. Prince Harry confidently predicted England will lift the World Cup as Gareth Southgate's men prepare for their semi-final against Croatia tonight. Asked if football is coming home during a visit to the Irish president's residence in Dublin, a reference to England's 1996 soccer anthem Three Lions, Harry replied most definitely. Harry and Meghan began a 2-day visit to Dublin on Tuesday, their first trip abroad since their wedding in May. Harry, whose brother William is the president of England's Football Association, is due to leave Ireland later on Wednesday and return home in time for the 7 p.m. BST kickoff in Moscow. Prince Harry's quip comes hours after the Duke of Sussex said he does not want to jinx England's chances of lifting the World Cup ahead of the nation's crucial match against Croatia. Harry refused to be pushed on the squad's success when Island rugby legend Brian O'Driscoll quizzed him about the outcome of Wednesday's World Cup semi-final match on Tuesday night. The former sports star said, "I asked him, 'So, is football coming home?' But he refused to say it. I think he just said he isn't as confident as everyone else about England winning tomorrow. He said he won't say it because he doesn't want to jinx it." The Duke of Sussex, who met O'Driscoll and his wife, actress Amy Huberman, at a British ambassador reception, also made a dig at the Prince of Wales as he stood on stage with Meghan by his side. Paying tribute to the British ambassador in Ireland, Robin Barnett, Harry said, "As some of you may know, he showed my father around his home city of Cork a couple of weeks ago. So we are very grateful for you joining us here this evening as well. And also very nice to know that he didn't bore you senseless." Prince Harry cracks hilarious Prince Charles joke during Ireland visit with Meghan Markle. Prince Harry was joined by Meghan this morning to meet the Irish president and his wife Sabina. Meghan, 36, was seen smiling adoringly at her new husband as the couple posed for photos inside the Eras. The Duchess of Sussex stunned in a grey Roland Moray dress with her hair swept back in her signature bun. Wearing black stilettos, the Duchess was seen wobbling on the cobbles as Harry met Mr. Higgins on the second day of their visit. The newlywed, who married American actress Meghan Markle in a lavish ceremony in Windsor 6 weeks ago, coughed up a small fortune for the child's book believed to be the beginning of a small library Prince Harry is making for him. The book is a 1926 first edition of the story by A. Milne, of which 30,000 were printed. Prince Harry made the extravagant purchase through rare bookseller Peter Harrington in Kensington, London, after being inspired by his mother, Princess Diana. A source told The Sun, one of Harry's happiest childhood memories was being read a bedtime story by his mother. She loved all the classics, and Harry had the brilliant idea of starting a little library of first editions. Prince Harry's original plan was to buy the 11-week-old taut a £24,000 first edition of Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass, but opted for Winnie the Pooh, which he believed to be a more suitable gift. The same source said Prince Harry enjoyed reading anything by A. Milne, and that Robinson Crusoe was his favorite tale by the author. Lewis' christening will take place at 4 p.m. today and will be the first time Prince William, Kate and their 3 children are pictured in public as a family of 5 since Louis' birth on April 23. He was the heaviest of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge's children, weighing in at 8 pounds 7 ounces following his birth at St Mary's Hospital, Paddington. Kensington Palace released the exclusive guest list for the 4 p.m. baptism, with attendees including Prince Harry and new wife Meghan, Kate's parents, Pippa Middleton and new husband billionaire James Matthews, as well as Prince Charles and Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall. The Queen and Prince Philip will not be attending, and William and Kate's other children George and Charlotte are also not featured on the exclusive guest list. Kensington Palace announced who the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge picked as godparents to Louis. Odds had been on Prince William's private secretary, Miguel Head, to be one of Louis' godparents, and former nanny Tiggy Pettifer. But despite odds of 2/1 and 3/1, neither have been selected. Instead, they picked Nicholas Van Cutsem, the father of Grumpy Grace, bridesmaid at Kate and William's wedding, and Florence, who was bridesmaid at Meghan and Harry's wedding. They also selected Harry Aubrey Fletcher, William's old school friend from Eton, and Lady Laura Mead, wife of James Mead, another school friend of William's and godfather to Princess Charlotte. Lucy Middleton was picked too, who is Kate's cousin, and Hannah Carter, a friend of Kate's, and William is friends with her husband Robert. Guy Pelly was also selected, who met William and Harry through the Beaufort Hunt and now owns an array of nightclubs around the capital. The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, will be performing the service in Westminster. He baptized Meghan in the run-up to the royal wedding and Prince George that he is born in July 2013. Louis, the fifth in line to the throne, was baptized by the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, at the Chapel Royal of St James's Palace, London, this afternoon. The Queen, 92, and Prince Philip, 97, did not attend the 40-minute ceremony, but Kensington Palace stressed the reason was unrelated to health concerns. A smiling Kate, wearing ivory dress and matching hat, arrived with her youngest child asleep in her arms. Prince George, 4, and Princess Charlotte, 3, attended in adorable outfits. Louis wore a replica of the royal christening robe, the original of which was first worn by Queen Victoria's eldest daughter in 1841. Prince Louis Arthur Charles Cambridge was born on April 23, 2018, also known as St. George's Day. His christening was on July 9, making it 11 weeks since he was born. The young prince was said to be on his best behavior, with the Duchess describing him as very relaxed and peaceful to the Archbishop. She added with a smile, "I hope he stays like this." The occasion marked the first public appearance of Louis since he left the Lindo wing a few hours after he was born. Pictures showed he had long, dark eyelashes, a button nose and a layer of fine hair over his head. In May, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge also released official photos of the Prince Louis, including one with his sister Princess Charlotte for her 3rd birthday. Prince Harry attended along with his wife, Meghan, who looked stylish in an olive green Ralph Lauren dress. They were not named as Prince Louis godparents, however. That honor went to 6 guests, including former party animal Guy Pelly, nicknamed the court jester by his close friends Princes William and Harry. Also named were family friend Nicholas Van Cutsem and Harry Aubrey Fletcher, who went to Ludgrove School in Eton with William. Lady Laura Mead, who is married to William's close friend James Mead, was another godparent. The other 2 selected persons were Kate's Marlborough school friend Hannah Carter and the Duchess's cousin Lucy Middleton. The Prince of Wales, the Duchess of Cornwall, and Kate's parents, Carol and Michael Middleton, were also at the royal baptism. The Duchess' pregnant sister, Pippa, came along with her husband James Matthews. Pippa, who sported a small baby bump, is expecting her first child with her husband this autumn. The official portraits from the christening of Prince Louis have been released by the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge to mark the milestone for their 3rd child. The youngest Prince of Cambridge was baptized at the Chapel Royal at St James's Palace on Monday, July 9. The afternoon ceremony was attended by various members of the royal family, with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall among the royal guests in attendance. Prince Louis wore a replica of the gown commissioned by Queen Victoria for her daughter, Victoria, in 1841, which was made of white Honiton point lace and white satin. The 2-month-old was born on April 23, 2018, and christened by the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Most Reverend Justin Welby. British photographer Matt Holyoake took the 4 official images released by the Duke and Duchess. The photographs were taken in the morning room and garden at Clarence House after Louis was baptized last Monday. Mr. Holyoake said, I was truly honored at being asked to take the official photographs at the christening of Prince Louis, and to witness at first hand such a happy event. Everyone was so relaxed and in such good spirits. It was an absolute pleasure. In only hope I have captured some of that joy in my photographs. The photographer has worked with a host of celebrities, and his photos have regularly been splashed on the covers of magazines such as Harper's Bazaar, Shortlist and Dazed and Confused. He is not new to working with the royals, as he photographed the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh as part of a series of portraits released to mark their 70th wedding anniversary. Holyoke works for Camera Press, which celebrated its 70th anniversary the same year the Queen and Prince Philip celebrated their platinum wedding anniversary. The agency's first assignment was to distribute the royal pair's official wedding photos. Along with the royals, Mr. Holyoke has photographed high-profile celebrities including Ryan Reynolds, Orlando Bloom, Gillian Anderson, Jennifer Lawson, Jamie Foxx and Kanye West. His official website says, Matt has established himself as one of the world's leading celebrity portrait photographers. His love of portraiture started at art college, where he studied to be a fine artist, specializing in contemporary portrait painting and drawing. He then discovered his passion for photography and perfected his craft working in still life, fashion and portraiture, assisting some of the most revered photographers of our times. Mr. Holyoke has had numerous pieces of his work acquired by the National Portrait Gallery for their permanent collection and has donated photographic prints to many exhibitions across the world. Prince Louis Arthur Charles of Cambridge was born on St. George's Day, April 23, at the private Linda wing of St. Mary's Hospital in Paddington. The prince, who is fifth in line to the throne, weighed 8 pounds 7 ounces last Monday. He made his first royal appearance for his christening in the Chapel Royal at St. James's Palace on Monday, July 9. What is this special meaning behind services songs? During the christening's processional, Prelude on Rosemary by Vaughan Williams played. This song was also played at parents Prince William's and Kate Middleton's wedding in 2011, as well as the ceremony at Prince Charles and Diana Spencer in 1981. Another hymn sung at Prince Louis' service was This Is a Day Which the Lord Hath Made, which was composed by John Rutter for Kate and William's wedding. Guests of the christening also dined on fruitcake which was originally made for Kate and William's wedding. The cake has been preserved and was also served at the christenings of George and Charlotte. The ceremony on Monday lasted 40 minutes and the royals were welcomed by the Archbishop of Canterbury. He bent down to greet George and Charlotte at the entrance to the chapel. Prince Louis was dressed a cream, frilly lace royal christening gown, a replica of the intricate robe made for Queen Victoria's eldest daughter in 1841. His 6 godparents were among the guests, including the Prince William's close friend Guy Pelly. Louis' other godparents include Nicholas Van Cutsem, Harry Aubrey Fletcher, Lady Laura Maw, Hannah Carter and Lucy Middleton. The Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh were not in attendance at the ceremony. However, Buckingham Palace said the decision was made some time ago and not on health grounds. Official portraits taken by British photographer Matt Holyoke at Clarence House were released last night and showed the prince surrounded by his close family. In one of the photos, Kate and William are joined by their children Prince George and Princess Charlotte as the Duchess of Cambridge cradles her sleeping prince in her arms. They were joined by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, as well as Prince Charles, Camilla. The Middleton family were also in attendance, including Kate's parents Carol and Michael, along with Kate's sister Pippa Matthews, her husband. Kensington Palace confirmed the details and the godparents of Prince Louis on Monday morning. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge's youngest child will be baptized in the Chapel Royal, St James's Palace in London on Monday afternoon. The fifth in line to the throne will be christened by the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Most Reverend Justin Welby. He said on Twitter, "I'm delighted and privileged to be christening Prince Louis today, a precious child made in God's image, just as we all are. Please join me in praying for him and his family on this special day." Prince Louis will be christened on Monday, July 9th at 4 p.m. Prince Harry and his wife, Meghan, will be attending the ceremony, along with Kate's parents Michael and Carol Middleton, Pippa Matthews and her husband James Matthews and James Middleton. Prince Charles and Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, will also be attending. However, the Queen and Duke of Edinburgh will miss the christening, Buckingham Palace has confirmed. The decision is understood not to have been taken on health grounds, and to have been mutually agreed by the Queen and the Cambridges some time ago. The Queen has been in attendance at a number of engagements since she missed a special service last month as she was feeling under the weather. The monarch, 92, has a busy week ahead, with high-profile celebrations in central London marking the centenary of the RAF on Tuesday, and a visit by U.S. President Donald Trump in Windsor on Friday. The Duke of Edinburgh, 97, has retired from public duties and has been enjoying his free time away from London. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have asked 6 close friends and family to be godparents to Prince Louis. These include Nicholas Van Cutsem, Guy Pelly, Harry Aubrey Fletcher, Lady Laura Mead, Robert Carter and Lucy Middleton. Prince Louis will wear a handmade replica of the royal christening robe, made by the Queen's dressmaker, Angela Kelly. The original robe was made in 1841 for the christening of Queen Victoria's eldest daughter, Princess Royal. It was made of fine Venetian lace lined with white satin and was worn for all royal christenings, including the Queen, her children and her grandchildren. Lady Louise Windsor was the last royal to wear the original gown, and James, Viscount Severn, was the first royal to wear the replica gown. Photographer Matt Porteous was at the event to capture private images. However, the proud parents were so pleased with this image they wanted it released to the public. Kensington Palace tweeted the image and said, "The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have released an additional photograph taken following the christening of Prince Louis. The Duke and Duchess hope that everyone enjoys this lovely photograph of Prince Louis as much as they do." The gorgeous 11-week-old has his mouth wide open in a huge grin in the picture as the side angle of Kate's face shows her face to be full of joy. The royal baby, who is squealing in delight, has grown some fine, light hair since he was born a few months ago, and his big eyes appear to be blue in color. Kensington Palace released 4 official photographs yesterday taken by celebrity photographer Matt Porteous. The Duchess of Cambridge looks completely elated in the picture, which shows off his outfit, which was a replica of the gown commissioned by Queen Victoria for the christening of her daughter, Victoria, in 1841. Other images include a shot of Kate alone with Prince Louis in the gardens of Clarence House, as well as a group shot of both sides of Kate and William's family, including Meghan and James Matthews, Pippa's husband. The private ceremony last week was held at Chapel Royal at St James's Palace in London, using water from the River Jordan, and it was the first time the Cambridges were seen together as a family of 5. Prince Louis appeared to be sleeping in his mother's arms for the pictures, having grown some fine hair since he was born. Kate was dressed in a creamy Alexander McQueen dress with a V-neck and a Jane Taylor hat. The gown was the same one worn by Prince George and Princess Charlotte at their own ceremonies in 2013 and 2015. The new fifth in line to the throne was baptized in Anglican with the full name of Louis Arthur Charles of Cambridge in a private ceremony in the same chapel where Prince George was christening in October 2013. The service was conducted by the Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby, who wrote on Twitter, "I'm delighted and privileged to be christening Prince Louis today, a precious child made in God's image, just as we all are. Please join me in praying for him and his family on this special day." Although the Queen and Prince Philip attended Princess Charlotte's christening, they did not attend the ceremony for Prince Louis. A statement said, "The decision has not been made on health grounds, and it is understood to have been mutually agreed by the Queen and the Cambridges some time ago." The christening for Prince Louis was held in the afternoon, while Princess Charlotte and Prince George's christenings both took place in the morning. The royal family photos are the first official pictures. Prince Louis's christening was immortalized in some beautiful snapshot by two photographers. The photos taken by Matt Holyoke were the four official family portraits, released on Sunday amid the admiration of the royal fans. But another photographer, Matt Porteous, took pictures meant to be just for the family's private use. Among them there was the first ever snap showing the little Cambridge laughing, which left the whole world swooning. But, despite being intended to be for private eyes only, this picture was so adorable Kate and Prince William decided to share it with the public. Upon releasing it on Monday, Kensington Palace wrote on Twitter, "The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have released an additional photograph taken following the christening of Prince Louis. The Duke and Duchess hope that everyone enjoys this lovely photograph of Prince Louis as much as they do." The cute picture was taken at the private party that took place after the christening in the gardens of Clarence House. Prince Charles and Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall's London residence. There, guests were served slices from a tier of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge's 2011 wedding cake. Mr. Porteous, who photographed Prince George when he turned 3 in 2016, took to Instagram to thank everyone who showed appreciation for the snap. He wrote on an Instagram story, "Overwhelmed by the love and support, an image that has touched so many hearts. Thank you for all the comments and support. It is a true honor to capture such a beautiful moment in time." He also shared the picture on an Instagram post, adding, "Moments like these. It was an honor and a privilege to photograph the christening of Prince Louis." Royal fans welcomed the unexpected snap with joy. Liz Stephen wrote on Twitter, "Just adorable. The perfect mother and child photo that anyone would wish for on such an occasion." Another Twitter user added, "OMG, that is the cutest photograph. Prince Louis is adorable. Doesn't Catherine look glowing?" And Jenna said, "Aw, he is gorgeous. All their children are. But what a well-captured picture of love and happiness. Something always to cherish. It's lovely to see a baby smile without a care in the world. Is it just me or does anyone else smile when they see a baby with a big smile like this?" The private ceremony took place on July 9 at Chapel Royal at St James's Palace in London. Prince Louis was christened with water from the river. Little Prince Louis, the youngest child of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, was born on April 23. His christening will take place on Monday, July 9. His elder siblings, George and Charlotte, will be there to welcome the newest member of their sweet little family. It is likely to be the first time the public glimpses the youngest prince since his birth, when his proud parents showed him to onlookers outside St Mary's Hospital in London. One obvious difference between the ceremony of Prince Louis and his big sister Charlotte, 3, is the venue. The Duke and Duchess chose the Chapel Royal in St James's Palace for the christenings of both Louis and their eldest son George, 5. Charlotte, however, was baptized at the Church of St. Mary Magdalene in Sandringham. Both these venues have special connections for the royal family. The Chapel Royal is where Princess Diana's coffin lay for the week before her funeral. It is also where Kate, Duchess of Cambridge, received communion before her wedding to Prince William in 2011. There is a link to Princess Diana in the Church of Mary St. Magdalene too. Diana was baptized here, just like her granddaughter Charlotte. Prince Louis' ceremony will be carried out by the Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby, who also did Charlotte's baptism. It is likely we'll see Louis in the same gown his brother and sister wore to their christenings. This isn't just down to Kate's reputation for thriftiness and hand-me-downs. The gown is in fact a replica of a Victorian Honiton lace overlay used at every royal baptism from 1841 to 2004. Too delicate to be worn now, the gown was replicated by the Queen's dressmaker Angela Kelly. According to tradition, the water used for Louis's christening will be holy water from the River Jordan, where it is said Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist. Louis will also be christened using the ornate silver gilt lily font, part of the crown jewels. One noticeable difference between Louis and Charlotte's big day is that for Louis, their uncle Harry will be there. When Charlotte was christened, Harry was off on a 3-month trip through Africa as part of his conservation work. He joked at the time that he was a bad uncle for missing it, so there's no doubt he'll be there with new wife Meghan Markle. Both George and Charlotte's baptisms were private family affairs, but the royals involved the public with a viewing of the little ones outside the church. Someone who will be missed, however, could be Prince Philip. Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, is 97 years old and is rarely seen out in public anymore. The Queen, 92, is expected to be there however, despite recently taking ill and having to pull out of a service at St. Paul's Cathedral. The Queen's husband, Philip officially retired from royal duties on August 2, 2017 after more than 65 years in service. And while the Duke of Edinburgh has not been seen at as many public engagements, the 97-year-old has still been out and about. Philip was last seen in public as he accompanied the Queen for the Royal Windsor Cup polo match in Egham last month. Prior to that, he joined the Queen for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's royal wedding on May 19. The Duke has been repeatedly pictured taking the reins of a horse and carriage on the grounds of Windsor Castle at various times throughout the year. Last month the 97-year-old was seen driving a carriage on the grounds of Windsor Castle on at least 2 occasions. In one picture from June 20, Philip donned a beige flat cap and blue outer jacket as he steered the horses around the private woodland area. The adventure came just 2 days after he was pictured at the helm of the carriage. Earlier this year Prince Philip underwent a hip replacement operation, sparking health fears after he remained in hospital for 6 days. However, just weeks after the operation, the robust royal was seen making the Queen smile as he attended the 3rd day of the Royal Windsor Horse Show. Following the surgery, Buckingham Palace said in a statement, "The Duke of Edinburgh has undergone a successful hip replacement operation. He is progressing satisfactorily at this early stage. His Royal Highness is likely to remain in hospital for several days. He is comfortable and in good spirits." Philip appeared a little frail at the royal wedding of his grandson Prince Harry to Meghan on May 19. Despite looking feeble, the Duke walked on his own behind the Queen, who wore a delicately flared green and purple outfit. According to royal protocol, no one must walk in front of the Queen as Her Majesty must be first. In February, Philip greeted hundreds of well-wishers in West Newton as he attended a church service with the Queen in Norfolk. Philip is the longest-serving consort of a reigning British monarch and the oldest ever male member of the royal family. On June 10, the Duke of Edinburgh celebrated his 97th birthday. The Duke of Edinburgh completed 22,219 solo engagements and gave 5,496 speeches after the Queen's Act. The Duke of Cambridge became the first royal ever to travel on an official business trip to Israel and Palestinian territories. A palace source confirmed the prince is determined to bring peace to the Middle East. According to the Sunday Mirror, the source claimed William told aides, "This is the start of something new. I will forever honor my commitments to the people I have met." The prince is believed to have been so touched by the stories of those he met that he personally rewrote half of his official speech to reflect his own feelings. An insider added, "The politicians who affect this younger generation's lives may only be in office for 5, 10 or 20 years, but William knows his duty is for life." But royal tradition states that Prince William should stay neutral as opposed to becoming involved with politics at home or overseas. However, sources have admitted William wants to play a significant role in bringing peace and prosperity to the Middle East and hopes to use his global influence to bring good to the region. Prince William visited the Israeli-occupied West Bank on Wednesday, meeting Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. The Duke of Cambridge described his trip to the West Bank as a very powerful one during a speech at the British Consulate General in Jerusalem. He assured Palestinians, "You have not been forgotten." The Duke also had meetings with Israeli President Reuven Rivlin and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu along with his wife Sarah in Jerusalem. Hopes of peace between Israel and Palestine plummeted in 2014, and the Duke of Cambridge's historic visit comes just months after dozens of Palestinians were killed by Israeli forces during protests at the border between Israel and the Gaza Strip. But in the wake of rising levels of violence between the two sides, it was the Royal Highness's own decision to give speeches to both sides and deliver the same message: never has hope and reconciliation been more needed. Mr. Rivlin shocked the world when he asked the prince to deliver a message of peace to Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas when he crossed over the border. The royal is understood to have told aides he intends to do what is right. A royal source said, "The visit had a profound effect on the Duke. The places he visited, the people he met and the stories he heard have all moved him very deeply." He spoke at length to his advisors of how the young people affected by the region's troubles need hope in order to be able to look forward to a brighter future. William tweeted, "I know how disappointed England must feel right now, but I couldn't be more proud of this team, and you should hold your heads high. You've had an incredible World Cup, made history, and gave us fans something to believe in. We know there is more to come from this England team." His message comes after England lost to Croatia in extra time in the World Cup semi-final. William's motorrad was seen crossing the border into Palestinian territory after the royal met with Israel's Eurovision winner Neda Barzilay in Tel Aviv this morning. The Palestinian police ceremonial guards and band welcomed William as he arrived at Mr. Abbas' residence in Ramallah, located in the West Bank, 10 kilometers north of Jerusalem. William's visit today marks a historic moment as the Duke is the first member of the royal family to tour Palestine in an official capacity. The Duke of Cambridge was pictured shaking hands with Mr. Abbas, who told William he is committed to a two-state peace solution and that will not change. Mr. Abbas' comments came after Israel's president urged William to take a message of peace to Palestine yesterday. Mr. Rivlin then asked William to encourage Mr. Abbas to take the first step with Israel to end the tragedy between their people. Mr. Rivlin said, "I know you are going to meet President Abbas. I would like you to send him a message of peace and tell him it is about time that we have to find together the way to build confidence." Build confidence as a first step to bring to understanding that we have to bring to an end the tragedy between us that goes along for more than 120 years. In response to the president's comments, William said he was hoping that peace in the area can be achieved. Ahead of their meeting, international relations expert warned Prince William he could face hostility from the Palestinians, who are suspicious of Western powers. Dr. Muriel Ram, from the Center for Palestine Studies, earlier warned William the Palestinians suspiciously on Western powers. He told Express.co.uk, "It will be safe to assume that Israelis will be more enthusiastic from this visit than Palestinians, as the latter look suspiciously on Western powers due to their support in Israel. The state of Israeli-Palestinian relations is in its lowest stage, and if any, the visit will embolden the hard line of the current Israeli government." As for the message Mr. Rivlin has asked William to deliver, Clive Jones, a professor of regional security at Durham University, says the Palestinians will receive this with politeness, but will believes it is wildly skewed in Israel's favor. Mr. Jones also told Express.co.uk, "The Palestinians will receive this with politeness, but if it does not meet certain preconditions, notably the continued Israeli expropriation of Palestinian land, then it is unlikely that this will achieve anything beyond public rhetoric. If it's encouragement to re-engage with a peace process, most Palestinians regard this as wildly skewed in Israel's favor." Prince William is expected to visit Palestine again tomorrow. It is believed to be the oldest joint Saudi-British charitable event. Polo, which is comparable to a version of football on horseback, is believed to date back to at least the 1st century AD, and possibly before then. The modern incarnation of the game was developed in India during the days of the Raj, with the first club in the town of Silchar in Assam, India, in 1833. It is played professionally in 16 countries, and was an Olympic sport from 1900 to 1936. It marks the first in a series of similar polo fundraisers being organized by William and his brother Prince Harry to raise funds for the various charities they support as royal patrons. Last month, Harry's new bride Meghan Markle cheered the two brothers on at the Audi Polo Challenge in Ascot, Berkshire. She was accompanied by her friend Serena Williams, now gearing up for tomorrow's Wimbledon ladies singles final, and her internet tycoon husband, Alexis Ohanian. Williams' victory may have helped ease the pain of England's defeat. The heir to the throne met the England squad prior to them travelling to Russia, and has been vocal in his support throughout the tournament. After Wednesday's loss, he tweeted via the official Kensington Palace account, "I know how disappointed England must feel right now, but I couldn't be more proud of this team, and you should hold your heads high. You've had an incredible World Cup." The cute 3-year-old is pictured staring fondly at her 11-week-old brother in a family portrait with her parents, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, her brother Prince George, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle and Prince Charles, and the Duchess of Cornwall. Kensington Palace released 4 official photographs this evening taken by celebrity photographer Matt Holyoke. The images include a shot of Kate alone with Prince Louis in the gardens of Clarence House, as well as a group shot of both sides of Kate and William's family, including Meghan and James Matthews, Pippa's husband. All eyes are on Charlotte in the group images, with the little 3-year-old pulling a distinguished pose with a hand on her knee in one image. The photograph with just the royal members of Kate and William's family sees Charlotte keeping a close eye on her little brother. And the first official portrait of the Cambridges as a family of 5 shows Charlotte cheekily grinning and grabbing Louis' knitted lace gown as Kate raises a knowing eyebrow. The private ceremony on Monday was held at Chapel Royal at St James's Palace in London, using water from the River Jordan, and it was the first time the Cambridges were seen together as a family of 5. Princess Charlotte wore a blue dress and shoes to match Prince George's blue stripes on his white shirt and her father's blue tie. As she walked hand in hand with her father, Prince William, the young, sassy royal told reporters waiting outside before the christening, "You're not coming." Princess Charlotte was christened at St Mary Magdalene's Church in Sandringham, close to their family's Norfolk home at Edinburgh Hall, in July 2015. Prince Louis appeared to be sleeping in his mother's arms for the pictures, having grown some fine hair since he was born. Kate was dressed in a creamy Alexander McQueen dress with a V-neck and a Jane Taylor hat. The Duchess of Cambridge looked completely elated and gazed at Louis, who was dressed in a replica of the gown commissioned by Queen Victoria for the christening of her daughter, Victoria, in 1841. The gown was the same one worn by Prince George and Princess Charlotte at their own ceremonies in 2013 and 2015. Kate's parents were also at the ceremony, her brother and sister, James and Pippa, and Louis' 6 godparents who are close friends or relatives of the Duke and Duchess. The new 5th in line to the throne was baptized in Anglican with the full name of Louis Arthur Charles of Cambridge in a private ceremony in the same chapel where Prince George was christening in October 2013. The service was conducted by the Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby, who wrote on Twitter, "I'm delighted and privileged to be christening Prince Louis today, a precious child made in God's image, just as we all are. Please join me in praying for him and his family on this special." The young princess was seen shaking the hand of a church official, who appears off camera before she entered the chapel with her father Prince William and older brother Prince George, according to footage shared by Kensington Palace's official Twitter account. Kate then followed behind with baby Prince Louis, who was wearing a handmade replica of the royal christening robe, made by the Queen's dressmaker, Angela Kelly. Princess Charlotte wore the same christening dress as Prince Louis for her christening in 2015, as did Prince George in 2013. The original robe was made in 1841 for the christening of Queen Victoria's eldest daughter. However, a replica was made after the current queen deemed the original was too fragile to continue using. Later, the outgoing youngster was seen exiting the chapel in the first picture of Cambridge family of 5. The last time the public saw Prince Louis was in May, when Kensington Palace released official photos of the newborn. The sweet images of Charlotte cuddling baby Louis also marked the princess' 3rd birthday, and she was pictured gently kissing the newborn on the top of his head. The official photos were taken by Kate, who has an interest in photography and is an amateur photographer. Today's ceremony was also attended by Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, as well as the Middleton family and Prince Charles and Camilla. Earlier today, Buckingham Palace confirmed the Queen and Prince Philip would not be attending the ceremony. The playful Princess Charlotte has stolen the show at a number of events following the birth of Prince Louis, including Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's royal wedding on May 19. The young princess was one of Meghan's bridesmaids, and she melted hearts as she gave crowds a wave from the steps of St George's Chapel in Windsor Castle. Charlotte waved to fans from the car on the way to the chapel, and again after the wedding as the youngster held her mother Kate's hand. At this year's Trooping the Colouring, Charlotte was spotted tapping along to the national anthem before she waved to the crowds below at Buckingham Palace. The playful princess also stole the show at Beaufort Polo Club, as Charlotte was pictured dancing and skipping and her way across the lawn. The adventurous youngster was a bundle of energy as she slid down a grass hill. Kate and William's 2nd child made hearts melt as she walked into the royal chapel at St James's Palace, holding her father's hand. As she tottered up to the entrance, Holding an order of service, she said to photographers, "You're not coming." She kept a watchful eye on the press pack as she walked in her staple blue and white dress with a headband and white socks with blue buckle shoes. She was also seen waving before shaking hands with the Archbishop of Canterbury, who carried out the service. She was encouraged by Prince William before he told her well done. She also shook hands with the Dean of the Chapel Royal, the Right Reverend and Right Honourable the Lord Chartres, before disappearing inside for the private ceremony. Her brother Prince George was holding their father's other hand, with Kate carrying a sleeping Prince Louis. Prince Louis was christened in an intimate ceremony attended by close friends and family as well as his 6 godparents. Pippa Middleton was seen with her growing baby bump as she arrived alongside husband James Matthews. Prince Harry and Meghan were also in appearance, along with Kate's parents Carol and Michael Middleton. Kate and Pippa's cousin Lucy Middleton was named as a godparent, as well as William's friends Nicholas Van Cutsum, Guy Pelly, Harry Aubrey Fletcher. Lady Laura Mead also made the list following on from her husband, James Mead, who was Princess Charlotte's godfather. Hannah Carter is also a godmother to Prince Louis. She is friends with Kate from their school days at Marlborough College. After the small service, guests were served slices of fruitcake from the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge's wedding cake. The Queen and Prince Philip missed the ceremony, with the Queen having just returned from Scotland and having a busy week ahead. Today she will watch an RAF flipast with Prince Charles, Camilla, Prince William, Prince Harry and Meghan. Mr. Lyons added that he had fond memories of Princess Diana, claiming she was a great lady. He told talk radio host Sarah Khan, "They're kept very, very secret. It's a long time since I've seen the pictures, although it's imprinted on your brain. I remember ringing up when she'd had the accident in Paris, and 3 very successful tabloid editors wouldn't believe me. I was probably one of the first 5 or 10 people in the world that knew what had happened. We just thought the princess was concussed with a broken arm at the time. It will be remembered as one of the most momentous news events in history, since JFK. She was a great lady, and she loved manipulating and using us guys in the media, and she knew the power of the media. She was the first pop star princess, and there won't ever be anyone who comes anywhere near her." Princess Diana died in the early hours of August 31, 1997 when her Mercedes S280 limo crashed at speed in the Pont d'Alma tunnel in Paris while being chased by a pack of paparazzi. Diana's boyfriend Dodi Al-Fayed and their driver were pronounced dead at the scene, while the former Princess of Wales was taken to Petit Salpêtrière Hospital, where she died hours later. A Metropolitan Police inquiry, Operation Paget, was established in 2004 to investigate various conspiracy theories surrounding the incident. It found that Diana and Fayed were killed as a result of the gross negligence. The upcoming royal marriage of Princess Eugenie and Jack Brooksbank on October 19 will see another of the Queen's grandchildren start their married life. Following Harry and Meghan, Eugenie will marry Mr. Brooksbank, UK ambassador for George Clooney's tequila brand Casamigos, in a ceremony at St. George's Hall, Windsor Castle. Mr. Brooksbank will be the second commoner to join the royal family this year, but he does have links to the Brooksbank baronets. And the bride's parents Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson are already eager to welcome him into the family. Will Jack Brooksbank receive a royal title? Despite his royal links, Mr. Brooksbank is not slated to obtain a royal title, but the Queen could decide to give him one on his wedding day as a gift. James Brooks, Director of Broadcasting and Communications for Royal Central, says it could be possible Mr. Brooksbank is given a last-second title. He says, Eugenie and her sister Beatrice are styled as princesses, and so it wouldn't be unusual if the Queen offered Jack a title, most likely an earldom. Of course, it's down to personal choice as to whether he accepts it. Princess Anne's first husband Mark Phillips turned down a title, it's thought, hence why Zara and Peter don't have one of their own. According to Mr. Brooks, should the couple later have children, the title could then be passed on. He continues, if Jack was to accept a title, an earldom, for example's sake, he would likely be known as the Right Honourable the Earl of. Any children the couple have would take on subsidiary titles, a son known as Viscount and daughter, Lady. As is custom, we'll likely find out on the morning of the wedding as to whether any titles have been granted/accepted. Will Jack Brooksbank and Eugenie's royal duties change? It seems entirely possible that the Princess and Mr. Brooksbank's duties could change after he joins the royal family. But as Eugenie is not classed as a working royal, the couple likely won't change much. Mr. Brooks says, it's unlikely that we'll see Jack performing a major royal role like William and Kate or Harry and Meghan. While they might not be in the spotlight as much as their royal cousins, it's still likely that we'll see the couple at the big events in the royal calendar, trooping the color. The party princesses were joined by Alexandra von Furstenberg, Princess Marie Chantal's sister, with the three of them dolling themselves up in thigh-skimming sequined dresses with plunging necklines and smoky eyeshadow for a wild night out that paid homage to legendary New York City hotspot Studio 54. The party took place in Saint-Tropez, on the glistening French Riviera, and was in celebration of London-based Iraqi socialite and celeb party planner Rena Cindy, who turned 50. Marie Chantal, 49, looked fabulous in a sequined dress, and Princess Olympia, who is no stranger to a touch of extravagance, went full throttle with a peroxide-alone wig to complement her glitzy look. Prince Pavlos also got into the 70s spirit and wore a pair of round below-tinted shades to complement his John Travolta-style open-buttoned green shift and white trousers for the occasion. Princess Marie Chantal is the wife of Pavlos, Crown Prince of Greece, who is the son of King Constantine II. Last month she told Paris Match that Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, will have to leave her celebrity life behind as she joins the British royal family. Princess Marie Chantal said, she will have to move away from the world of celebrities and Hollywood to quietly join that of other stars, the royal family. She is lucky to have a modern and sensitive man at her side. Harry will be there to guide her. The outspoken princess daughter, Olympia, 21, boasts a huge 149,000 followers on Instagram, where she posts snapshots of her glamorous life. And shy, Olympia is certainly not. Her selfies often depict her in cannily clad dresses, nightgowns and see-through outfits. The princess is also a keen jet-setter and posts quirky snaps of her trips all over the world, most recently to London, where she shared a photo of herself at the bathtub. She also shares pictures showing her close relationship with her mother. One showed her tugging on Princess Marie Chantal's shoes. Princess Olympia captioned the image, "My mom and I share shoes." She won't share. The decision has not been made on health grounds, and it is understood to have been mutually agreed by the Queen and the Cambridges some time ago. The 92-year-old Queen will be travelling back from Norfolk on Monday at the start of a busy week full of royal engagements. She will attend high-profile celebrations in central London marking the centenary of the RAF on Tuesday, and a visit by U.S. President Donald Trump in Windsor on Friday. Prince Philip has been suffering from bad health, which including him being hospitalized while he underwent hip replacement surgery. The Queen also under surgery to deal with a cataract problem. However, Both are now believed to be on the mend after a series of public appearances. The palace said Prince Louis's 6 godparents are Nicholas van Cutsem, Guy Pelly, Harry Aubrey Fletcher, the Lady Laura Mead, Mrs. Robert Carter, and Miss Lucy Middleton. The monarch, 92, has a busy week ahead, with high-profile celebrations in central London marking the centenary of the RAF on Tuesday, and a visit by U.S. President Donald Trump in Windsor on Friday. The Duke of Edinburgh, 97, has retired from public duties and has been enjoying his free time away from London. Louis, the 11-week-old youngest son of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, is being baptized by the Archbishop of Canterbury on Monday afternoon in the Chapel Royal, St James's Palace in London. The monarch and Philip attended the christening of Louis' older siblings George at the Chapel Royal in 2013 and Charlotte in the Church of St Mary Magdalene in Sandringham, Norfolk in 2015. As head of the Church of England, the Queen is a committed Christian and has a deep religious faith. She also went to the christenings of her other great-grandchildren Savannah Phillips and Mia Tyndall, but neither she nor the Duke are thought to have gone to Isla Phillips's in 2012. The monarch missed a service at St. Paul's Cathedral on June 28 because she was feeling under the weather. The 92-year-old is said to be concerned Harry and future King William have not got their priorities in order as they lead the way in modernizing the monarchy. She has quietly warned both men that they must think of the nation's needs rather than their own, according to a shock new biography. In hurried conversations with the prince, journalist Angela Levin said, Harry's vision includes the young royals' right to an ordinary life, where their duty to each other and their children may come before or alongside their duty to the nation. This is known to concern the Queen, who, insiders say, has quietly told both Harry and William to think first of the nation's needs rather than of their own. In recent years, the Queen has been slowly scaling back her workload as she prepares to hand over the reins over to heir Prince Charles and the younger generation of royals. However, the 92-year-old monarch showed this year she is not quite ready to hand everything over to her eldest son as she increased her workload between January and May. The Queen completed more than 125 engagements, an increase of more than 25% from the previous year, according to an analysis of the official court circular. After pledging to serve her nation for the rest of her life when she was crowned queen, the monarch is still the busiest member of the royal family. Prince Harry has previously spoken about his plans to modernize the royal family. The prince said, "The monarchy is a force for good, and we want to carry on the positive atmosphere that the Queen has achieved for over 60 years, but we won't be trying to fill her boots. We are involved in modernizing the British monarchy. We are not doing this for ourselves but..." Buckingham Palace told Express.co.uk there is no update on the Queen's health today. No doctor was called and the 92-year-old still travelled to Windsor yesterday for the weekend as planned. A statement was released by a spokesperson for the palace yesterday after she pulled out of a morning service commemorating the 200th anniversary of the Order of St. Michael and St. George. The spokesperson said, "The Queen is feeling under the weather today and has decided not to attend this morning's service at St. Paul's Cathedral marking the 200th anniversary of the Order of St. Michael and St. George." Her cousin Prince Edward, the Duke of Kent, attended in her place as Grand Master of the Order. The Queen has been busy this month after she attended 5 days at Royal Ascot last week. The monarch then joined her grandson Prince Harry and his new wife Meghan Markle at her Young Leaders Awards at Buckingham Palace on Tuesday. She had eye surgery in May to remove a cataract, but the planned operation was a success. The procedure took place at the private King Edward VII's Hospital in London, and she was treated as a day patient. The Queen is known for her good health and last year carried out 296 public engagements in the UK. What is the Queen's next public engagement? Buckingham Palace confirmed to express.co.uk the Queen will still be attending the programme of events in Scotland for Holyrood Week next week. The week always begins on the forecourt of Holyrood Palace with the ceremony of the keys. The Queen is welcomed into Edinburgh by Lord Provost, who offers her the keys of the city. A ceremony where people are bestowed an honour or rank, also known as an investiture, is held in the Great Gallery at the Palace of Holyrood House. This is located at the end of the Royal Mile in the centre of Edinburgh and recognises Scottish residents who have made a significant contribution to society. Recipients have included TV presenter Lorraine Kelly, who received an OB, and Emeritus Professor for Theoretical Physics, Peter Higgs, who was made a member of the Order of the Companions of Honour. A garden party is also held, which welcomes around 8,000 Scottish people to spend an afternoon with the Queen in the grounds of the palace. The also undertakes a number of other engagements around Scotland during this week. In the past, she has visited a housing development. The 92-year-old beamed as she watched the spectacular display, which saw 100 military aircraft fly across the skies of London, just after 1 p.m. She was joined by family members including Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, Kate, Prince William, Princess Anne, Prince Charles and Camilla, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward and his wife Sophie, Countess of Wessex for the iconic moment on the balcony of her residence. It was 100 years ago on April 1, 1918 that the Royal Flying Corps and the Royal Naval Air Service merged to create the RAF, the world's first independent air service. The Queen has today led a day of national celebrations as the Royal Air Force marks a century since its formation, which started with a ceremony at Westminster Abbey. RAF Flippas Liv, the nation's longest-serving monarch, looked in good spirits as she arrived in London wearing a blue silk coat with a turquoise collar over a dress in the same colour, both by Angela Kelly. She teamed her outfit with a matching hat and a diamond star brooch. More than 2,200 people packed Westminster Abbey for the service, with dignitaries including Prime Minister Theresa May, Defence Secretary Gavin Williamson and Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn attending. The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, addressed the congregation and said the RAF has in its first 100 years been a decisive factor in serving the country, as well as being key in protecting democracy and freedom. With an RAF ensign draped over the high altar behind him in the Abbey, Mr. Welby also highlighted how members of his own family have served and been killed in the RAF, drawing attention to his own father who flew low-level sorties in Burma. And amid turmoil in the cabinet and her government, Mrs. May delivered a reading at the service, Hebrews 11:32-12, with the head of the RAF Air Chief Marshal Sir Stephen Hillier also taking to the lectern. Along with Charles, the monarch presented a new Queen's colour to the RAF in the forecourt of Buckingham Palace before making a brief speech. She said, "The new RAF Queen's colour provides an opportunity to congratulate the RAF's remarkable contribution over the last 100 years." The monarch then praised the RAF for safeguarding freedom and security in many parts of the world. She later remembered the Battle of Britain, saying, "I remember the Battle of Britain being battled in the sky above us, and we should never forget the sacrifice." The roaring aircraft formation is scheduled to pass over Buckingham Palace at 1 p.m. and will be made up of the most varied range of RAF aircraft in aerial formation since the coronation of the Queen in 1953. The royals will appear on the balcony of the Queen's London residence to view a flipast of up to 100 RAF aircraft, a parade of more than 1,000 personnel, and a feu de joie. Harry and Meghan appearance comes just hours before the newlyweds make their way to Ireland for their first official royal tour as a married couple. The couple put on a loved-up display as Meghan, who looked stunning in a black dress with bespoke fascinator and nude heels, held on tight to Harry, who was wearing his No 1 RAF uniform. Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge, looking radiant in baby blue coat dress, took a break from maternity leave to make a surprise appearance at the celebrations just a day after Prince Louis' christening. Air Vice Marshal Jerry Mayhew, the air officer commanding No 1 Group and the senior responsible officer for the flipast, said the day is the centerpiece of the RAF's 100th year. It is the high point for the capital, Her Majesty the Queen and the royal family. And it is a great opportunity to look back and really celebrate our past, but to look forward is a really important thing for us as we look to the next 100 years. He described being at the forefront of the flipast as a great honor, and said he hopes the Queen and royal family will see exactly what they can do for the monarch. Asked what message a 100-aircraft flipast may send to Britain's adversaries and the world, he said, "It demonstrates we are a competent, professional and capable Air Force that has a credible, very credible, set of capabilities." Charles, Camilla, William, Harry and Meghan will also meet veterans, personnel, charity representatives and those from the civil service in a reception after the spectacle. Just 15 years after the first ever powered flight undertaken by the Wright brothers, the decision to create the RAF was made after the War Cabinet inquiry criticized the poor organization of Britain's air forces. Those recognized as the founders of the RAF include Lieutenant General Sir David Henderson and Lord Hugh Trenchard, the first Chief of the Air Staff. The flipast is set to feature aircraft including Puma and Chinook helicopters, a Lancaster, Spitfires, Hurricanes, the A400M Atlas, Tornadoes, Typhoons and the F-35 stealth fighter jets. Drawing the spectacle to a close will be the Red Arrows, who in traditional aerobatic style will stream red, white and blue smoke down the length of the mall. The officer commanding the Red senior members of the royal family, including the first and second in line to the throne, had informal discussions about the trip, and let it be known they did not want to take part in arrangements for the US President's 4-day UK visit. Downing Street and Buckingham Palace both said as Trump's tour of the UK was not an official state visit, there was a singular plan to meet the Queen alone with Melania Trump drawn up. But a source said senior courtiers discussed which royals should meet the controversial president and shared the same concerns as William and Charles. Prince Charles allegedly had a board meeting for his AG Carrot Company, while the Duke of Cambridge was playing in a charity polo match and Prince Harry had private engagements. The source told the Sunday Times, "This business of Prince Charles and Prince William not being there for the Trump visit was a snub. They simply refused to attend. It's a very, very unusual thing for the Queen to be there on her own. Usually she is accompanied by somebody. Prince Charles has been substituting for Philip a lot lately." And speaking of Philip, who retired from formal royal duties recently, the source said, "He goes to what he wants to go to, and if he wanted to be there he could have been." Prince Harry is good friend with previous President Barack Obama, with the pair teaming up to promote the Invictus Games in the past. And Harry's new wife Meghan has been a vocal critic of Mr. Trump before she became a royal, and therefore having to steer clear of making political statements. Before her relationship became known, she spoke about supporting Hillary Clinton for her Democratic presidential campaign. She said at the time, during Mr. Trump's UK visit he broke royal protocol, seemingly by accident, by failing to bow to Her Majesty and then walked on in front of her when the pair were inspecting the guard. A Whitehall official also revealed that Mr. Trump's one-on-one time with the Queen was kept to a bare minimum. The official said, "The Queen will do her duty," but among the wider family, they were not as enthusiastic as they were when Obama came over. Last year, it emerged that Mr. Trump is reluctant to meet Prince Charles, due to their polarizing stances on climate change. Mr. Trump's aides looked to hold a meeting with the younger royal officials, which were rejected, while a proposed golf match with Prince Andrew were largely ignored. A minister admitted that there was concern about Trump's working visit to the UK, denied that a formal invitation was rejected. They said, "They might have had a view that they were happy not to do it, but it is not true that it was on the cards, and they refused to do it." A Buckingham Palace source said, "This was not a state visit and the involvement of other members of the royal family would be different. There was never any approach by the government or others, formally or informally." The fire broke out on Monday and devastated the coasts of Mati, a seaside town populated by hundreds of locals and tourists. The death toll could still rise, as 60 people are still being treated in hospital, 11 of which are in intensive care. And dozens more are missing. The monarch left London to begin the summer holiday in her Scottish residence in Balmoral in late July. But in a rare public statement, the Queen addressed the tragedy that struck Greece earlier this week. Buckingham Palace's official website shared a statement earlier today penned by Her Majesty. She said, "Prince Philip and I offer our deepest sympathies to the people of Greece in the wake of the devastating fires in Attica and across Greece. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of the victims of this terrible tragedy and to all those who have lost their homes. I pay tribute to the courage and dedication of the Greek emergency services and the volunteers that have provided support." Today, Greece's Citizen Protection Minister Nikos Toskis said that there were serious indications the fire had been started deliberately. The royal family has close links to the Hellenic nation, as the Duke of Edinburgh was born into the Greek royal family. And the Queen and her family are still in contact with their Greek counterparts. Earlier this month, Prince Pavlos of Greece shared an image of him meeting the British monarch while she was presenting the regiments he belonged to, the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, with the new standard. The prince had their meeting immortalized with a picture, whose caption: "The newlyweds were greeted by their host's adorable dogs, Broad, a male, and Shida, a female, when they walked around the grounds of President Higgins' official residence on their second day of engagements in Ireland." In their engagement interview in November 2017, the 33-year-old ginger heir revealed that the Queen's corgis were also very fond of Meghan. Meghan also added that they were laying on her feet during tea when she met the monarch. The Queen has been very fond of corgis since she was a small child. Her final loyal corgi Willow died in April, and the monarch was reportedly hit extremely hard by the loss. She still has 2 dogs, Vulcan and Candy, which are informally known as Dorges, a crossbreed between a dachshund and a corgi. In Ireland, the stunning Bernese mountain dogs kept running over to Meghan and Prince Harry demanding their attention. The dogs' names are Gaelic, Broad means pride and Shida means silk. Meghan has rescued 2 dogs, one of which is called Guy and lives with her in the UK, and the other now lives with her close friends in the US. She has called her dogs her babies in the past. Kensington Palace tweeted, "Thank you to the President of Ireland Michael D. Higgins, Mrs. Higgins, and Broad and Shida for the warm welcome at Airs and Uachtarrain." The dogs' fans even called for them to have their own Twitter account. Meghan was wearing a top green dress by the designer Roland Mouret when she met Mr. Higgins before she changed into a sleek black suit. Yesterday during his island visit, Prince Harry said that there was a very special relationship between England and Ireland. He said, "We share common values, culture, business links, family ties, and possibly a similar sense of humor. Our relationship is of course informed by our history, but it is also one which is now dynamic and forward-looking." Ireland is Meghan and Prince Harry's first overseas visit since they tied the knot earlier this year. The royal couple also visited Dublin. The former England Rugby World Cup star chatted about daughter Lena, born last month, when he arrived for the St. Paul Polo Cup, the Duke of Sussex's charity fundraising event. Wife Zara Tindall gave birth just over 5 weeks ago to her second child, who is one of the Queen's 7 great-grandchildren. Mr. Tindall said about the latest addition to his family, "So far, so good, I can't complain, it eats, sleeps." Speaking about his wife he added, "She wanted to come but it was not possible. She's doing really well, it's been brilliant so far. It's a bit hot, you buy all these clothes and they never need them, we just use nappies, but I'm not going to complain about hot weather in England." His comments come as the Duchess of Sussex cheered on her husband during the charity polo match, after making a surprise visit to the event. Meghan made an unannounced appearance at the St. Paul Polo Cup, joining dozens of guests at the annual sporting fixture in aid of Harry's charity St. Paul. Among those watching the event, staged at the Royal County of Berkshire Polo Club, was the Duke's friend and former mentor Mark Dyer. Harry walked into the main enclosure for guests with St. Paul ambassador and polo player Nacho Figueras. The men's wives followed, Meghan, looking stylish in an outfit by Carolina Herrera, and Delphina Blaquire. The final members of their group were St. Paul's chief executive Kathy Ferrier and the organization's chairman Johnny Hornby. The sporting fixture has become an important annual event raising funds and awareness for St. Paul, an organization which works with children and teenagers in Lesotho and Botswana who are coming to terms with being HIV positive, have AIDS or have lost their parents to the disease. Later, Harry will play on the St. Paul St. Regis team, captained by Mr. Figueras, against the Royal Salute team, captained by Malcolm Borwick. A 2004 gap-year trip to the landlocked African nation of Lesotho inspired the Duke to set up his charity 2 years later with the country's Prince Seeiso, younger brother of King Letsie III. Their aim was to help youngsters in need and other children who had lost one or both parents to AIDS or contracted the disease themselves. In November 2015, St. Paul opened its £2 million Mamohato Children's Centre in Lesotho to scale up its Mamohato camps, a residential project providing psychological. Details have not been released of the gift U.S. President Donald Trump gave Mrs. May, but it was believed to be a historic artifact. Mr. Trump and the First Lady flew into the UK on Thursday afternoon, before joining the Prime Minister and her husband, as well as around 150 other ministers and business leaders, for dinner at Blenheim Palace. The U.S. President and his wife then met the Queen for afternoon tea at Windsor Castle on Friday afternoon. Following her meeting with the Queen, the First Lady tweeted, "It was an honor to meet and have tea with Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth LL. at POTUS and I enjoyed the visit and her company very much." On Friday, Mrs. Trump, accompanied by Mr. May, visited the Royal Hospital Chelsea Hospital. On arrival, she met Lieutenant Colonel Nicky Mott, hospital CEO Gary Lashko and Chelsea pensioners John Riley, Alan Collins and Marjorie Cole. The First Lady also made poppies with local school children and played traditional British summertime game bowls 4 times with Mr. May on the bowling green at the hospital. J. Flores is most famously the Queen's perfumer and is the oldest English retailer of fragrance and toiletries, still family-owned and run by 8th and 9th generations of the family. The first royal warrant granted to J. Flores was in 1820 as smooth-pointed comb makers to the then King George IV soon after his accession. Notable customers include Florence Nightingale, who wrote a letter on July 25, 1863. The Queen appeared to lose her footing as she approached the steps out of the Abbey with the Dean of Westminster, the Very Reverend Dr. John Hall. The Dean looked concerned as he reached out his hand in case the 92-year-old tripped. However, the Queen was able to keep her balance without his help and regained her posture as she left the Abbey all smiles. The Queen then joined the Prince of Wales and Duchess of Cornwall, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and newlyweds the Duke and Duchess of Sussex after the service. The service celebrated 100 years since the Royal Air Force was founded after the Royal Flying Corps and the Royal Naval Air Service merged to create the service. The Queen looked radiant in blue after missing the christening of her great-grandson Prince Louis yesterday. She wore a royal blue silk coat with a turquoise collar and dress in the same color. The Queen also wore a stunning hat and silver spiked brooch to match. All the pieces were designed by her dressmaker Angela Kelly. The Queen's near brush on the steps outside the Abbey comes after it was revealed the monarch is refusing to undergo knee surgery. A Buckingham Palace source said her knees have been playing up, but she doesn't want to make a fuss. The Queen still remarkably carries out more than 200 royal engagements and visits a year, but she reportedly doesn't want to take any time off and miss any engagements. A palace source told The Sun, she was talking to friends at the Chelsea Flower Show and said her knees were playing up. But she is reluctant to have an op due to the time it would take to recover. She is incredibly brave. People from her and Philip's generation battle through problems and carry on. And Her Majesty doesn't like to cause any fuss. In 2003, she had an operation on her right knee after damaging cartilage when she fell over at Newmarket Racecourse. And a few months later, she has also broken other, more unusual records during her reign. The Queen was thrust into power in 1952 after the sudden death of her father, King George VI on February 2 the same year. She was on her honeymoon with Prince Philip in Kenya, aged just 17, when she learned that her father had died and she was to rule as the next in line to the throne. She was crowned on June 2, 1953 in a spectacular coronation that was broadcast around the world. But her reign over Britain has seen her become one of the most famous, recognizable women in the world, with her reign even beating her great-grandmother, Queen Victoria, who passed away in 1901 aged 81 years old. She has ruled longer than any other living king or queen in the world, following the death of Thailand's King Bhumibol Adulyadej on the 13th of October 2016. She has also been the head of the Commonwealth for over 6 decades. Her marriage to Prince Philip is the longest-lasting royal union in history, after the couple married in 1947 and celebrated 70 years of wedding bliss in 2017. And at age 92, she is also the eldest British monarch to still be on the throne and has traveled to more than 100 countries, the most for a British monarch ever. The Queen also holds a record for being featured in the most amount of foreign currencies, with her recognized portraiture featured on 16 of the 52 countries within the Commonwealth. Her face is even included in countries where she is no longer the head of state, including Fiji and Belize. Earlier in July, it was revealed that she was the first royal to visit Russia in 1994 as she stayed at the Kremlin with her husband Prince Philip. Her Royal Majesty also made history by visiting a number of countries for the first time before any other royal. One such country was China, which she traveled to on a state visit in 1986. She traveled to the country with Prince Philip to meet President Li Xianian, before exploring Beijing, Shanghai, Xi'an and Guangzhou. The six-day visit followed less than 2 years after the Sino-British Joint Declaration, when the UK agreed to end the British rule of Hong Kong. Clearly not wanting Prince George to feel left out, Kate was seen completing the school run with him, as is her habit, on the very next day. She was spotted outside the building by one of the other parents. She is frequently seen around the school with one parent saying, "No one really gives Kate a second glance when she does the school drop-off." Speaking to the Mail, the parent added, "We have a Victoria's Secret model doing the school run too, and the ads are far more interested in her." Prince Louis was born on the 23rd of April at St Mary's Hospital in London. Prince George is attending Thomas's, an exclusive £17,600 a year private school in Battersea, West London. He has just completed his first year, during which he played a sheep in the school nativity. He started attending on the 7th of September, with his father dropping him off as Kate was suffering from severe morning sickness. Another royal, Maud Elizabeth Windsor, is attending the same school. Maud Elizabeth is the 4-year-old daughter of Lord Frederick, son of Prince Michael of Kent, and actress Lady Sophie Windsor. Prince George had his 5th birthday on the 22nd of July. To mark the occasion, an official photograph showing Prince George outside Clarence House was released. The picture, taken by photographer Matt Porteous, showed the prince smiling against a brick backdrop. For the occasion he was wearing a white cotton shorts. The Duke of Edinburgh provided the key to unlock the identity of bodies found in an unmarked grave as the last Tsarina of Russia Alexandra and her 5 daughters. By offering a sample of his blood to experts in 1993, the Queen's husband made possible for scientists to piece together the murder of Tsar Nicholas II and his relatives and what happened to their bodies. Prince Philip is related through the maternal line with the lost Russian reigning family, being the grandnephew of the Tsarina, with her older sister Victoria Mountbatten his maternal grandmother. Scientists who received the blood sample could compare the Tsar's own DNA, the prince's and the ones of the bodies found in a grave in Yekaterinburg in July 1991. The investigation was conducted by Dr. Peter Gill and his team at the Forensic Science Service, who invited the Duke to assist their work. Now the bumpy road that brought scientists to prove virtually beyond doubt the fate of the Romanovs is to be shared with the public, though a new exhibition at the London Science Museum called The Last Tsar, Blood and Revolution. The display is due to open upon the 100th anniversary of the family's murder in September 2018, and will explore the scientific development that helped shed a light on the end of the Romanovs. A spokesman said, "This investigation was one of the first occasions that forensic DNA analysis was used to solve a historic case, involving the best British experts under the direction of Dr. Peter Gill from the Forensic Science Service. Blood samples from relatives, including His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh, and advances in DNA profiling and 3D reconstruction, helped to positively identify the remains of the imperial family and enabled the investigation to reach convincing conclusions. Tsar Nicholas II, Tsarina Alexandra and their 5 children Olga, Tatiana, Maria, Anastasia, and Alexei were killed on July 17, 1918, in Ekaterinburg, in the wake of the Russian Revolution. Their bodies were left in 2 unmarked graves. The Duke, now 97, has spoken in the past, but 36-year-old Kate has actually owned the stunning yellow ring for more than a decade. Eagle-eyed royal fans noted that the Duchess was in fact photographed wearing the dazzling ring on her finger back in January 2008 when she celebrated her 26th birthday. Then Kate Middleton was snapped in the back of a taxi with her younger sister Pippa Middleton as they left Kit's Club in Sloane Square. New mother Kate wore the citrine stone embellishment, which embodies new life, warmth and carries the power of the sun, on her right hand as she enjoyed a day out at Wimbledon on Sunday. Kate and William looked closer than ever as they sat in the royal box at Wimbledon's centre court, where they watched Serbia's Novak Djokovic defeat South Africa's Kevin Anderson. The ring quickly prompted fans to believe it was a present from Prince William, as a token of appreciation to his wife following the birth of their second son, Prince Louis. This is not the first time the Duchess has been seen wearing the stunning ring. Kate also sported it back in May at Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's royal wedding, 3 weeks after she had given birth to Louis. Known as a push present, it has become much more common for royal fathers to present their partners with a gift thanking them for enduring hard labor. Prince Philip reportedly gave then Princess Elizabeth a large bottle of champagne and bouquet of red roses and carnations after Prince Charles was born in 1948. But it was Princess Diana who was spoiled the most, as she was lavished with a range of gifts, including a diamond and pearl necklace that featured a dazzling heart at the center, a gold W to add to her charm bracelet, and a custom Mini Cooper. And it is often speculated that Kate was gifted with a push present after she was spotted wearing a circular pendant inscribed with George Alexander Louis following the birth of her first child, Prince George. The Duchess is also said to have received a brooch, boasting a pink diamond at its center, which the prince had commissioned especially for his wife from the Queen's jewelers. When Princess Charlotte was born, Kate is thought to have received a pair of green tourmaline, green amethyst and diamond earrings made especially for her by Kiki McDonough. The royal couple met on a blind date in early July 2016, before starting a whirlwind romance and announcing their engagement little over a year later in November 2017. Aside from receiving consent from the Queen ahead of their engagement in order to comply with the 2013 Succession to the Crown Act, Harry also sought the approval of his trusted sister-in-law. A source told Grazia UK, "Harry and Kate are very close. She's been like a mentor to him and he wanted her seal of approval. Kate is different to Meghan in many ways, but she has made great strides to help Meghan settle in." Prince Harry reportedly introduced his future wife to Kate in November 2016, only 4 months after their first date. Meghan then gave Kate a gift ahead of her 35th birthday upon seeing the Duchess again in January 2018. The royal source noted Prince Harry sought the advice of Kate as he regards her as a big sister and has provided him with emotional support since her engagement to Prince William in November 2010. The source said, "When she and William got engaged, Harry called her the big sister he never had. He often pops into their apartment at Kensington Palace, where she cooks him a meal. Roast chicken is reportedly a particular favorite." There was no filling the hole left by Diana's death, and Harry seemed to be growing up without someone emotionally available he could lean on. Kate has helped fill some of that gap. The Duchess has since expressed her approval of Meghan, and the pair appear to be developing a blossoming friendship. The in-demand royals were last seen together attending the ladies' singles final at Wimbledon in July, where they were seen chatting while the former TV star cheered on her friend and tennis ace Serena Williams. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge also publicly expressed their excitement following the announcement of Prince Harry's engagement in November. In a statement the 2-year-old, who is the only son of Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel, couldn't hide his football frenzy during the royal celebration. The family gathered for the princess' 41st birthday at Solliden Palace, the Swedish royal summer residence in Åland, just off the southeast coast of Sweden. Crowds gathered to give their well wishes to Victoria, who posed for selfies and photographs during her meet and greet. And while she was speaking with members of the public, Little Oscar kept himself amused by chasing his bright ball, curiously sporting not the colors of Sweden but of the Germany's flag. Victoria and Daniel's youngest child rocked his white button-down shirt, beige dungarees and white sneakers while showing off to family and guests his football skills. He happily shared his football with his father Prince Daniel, who joined the little prince during his personal football match, allowing those attending the celebration to witness a sweet father-son moment. Despite his passion for the beautiful game, Prince Oscar, who is the third in line to the Swedish throne, didn't fail to carry out his royal duty. Holding his mother's hand, he walked towards the crowd of well-wishers gathered on palace grounds to pay his respects. And he also stood proudly between his sister Princess Estelle and grandmother, Queen Sylvia, for snaps marking the official pictures of the event on Saturday. His grandfather, King Carl XVI Gustaf, was also at the palace and joined the happy family for the pictures and a brief speech held in the garden. Prince Oscar, who was born on March 2, 2016, had already stole everyone's heart at last year's Princess Victoria's birthday. On that occasion, the toddler was wearing a light blue dungarees and seemed more interested in checking out the flowers and bushes of the garden rather than in football. Despite being only 2, the young royal has already attended a number of official events. He even met Kate Middleton and Prince William in January with his mother, father and sister during the Cambridge's tour of the Nordic countries. The two families were pictured having tea at Haga Palace, the Crown Princess official residence, in a relaxed atmosphere. Crown Princess Victoria, 41, and Prince Daniel, 44, were guests at Kate and William's 2011 royal wedding, but failed to make the guest list for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's. On Friday, President Trump and his wife Melania faced criticism for shaking hands with the Queen rather than bowing and curtsying in the monarch's presence. The U.S. President and First Lady received backlash over what royal fans perceived as a lack of etiquette in front of the 92-year-old. But surprisingly, Mr. Trump and his wife did not officially break royal protocol by offering Her Majesty a firm handshake. According to guidelines on the official website of the royal family, there is no correct or incorrect way to greet the Queen. It says, there are no obligatory codes of behavior when meeting the Queen or a member of the royal family, but many people wish to observe the traditional forms. For men this is a neck bow from the head only, whilst women do a small curtsy. Other people prefer simply to shake hands in the usual way. However, the official guidelines reveal that when speaking, formal address is expected to be delivered in a traditional way. It states, the correct formal address is Your Majesty and subsequently, ma'am, pronounced with a short as in jam. For male members of the royal family the same rules apply, with the title used in the first instance being Your Royal Highness and subsequently, Sir. For other female members of the royal family the first address is conventionally Your Royal Highness and subsequently, ma'am. But physical contact is generally frowned upon, with the Queen known for her dislike of touchy-feely greetings. Former U.S. President Barack Obama and the former First Lady Michelle Obama also greeted the Queen with a handshake. Michelle Obama even put her hand around the Queen, who followed suit by holding her wrist, but the perceived breaks in protocol didn't quite attract the same criticism as Mr. Trump. The President Trump came under fire for walking ahead of the Queen when the pair were inspecting the Royal Guard on Friday. Mr. Trump eventually stood still and then waited for Her Majesty to catch up, but the Queen was forced to walk around right-hand side of the U.S. President as he had blocked her path. The U.S. President also received a special handshake from the Queen's Lady-in-Waiting, which appeared to be a match for Mr. Trump's often strong handshake. Virginia Ogilvy, Countess of Airlie, reached out her hand to Mr. Trump and held onto it for 2 firm and lengthy shakes, as he arrived at Windsor Castle to meet the Queen. She then visibly pulled him in closer, causing Mr. Trump to leave. The Duchess of Sussex visited the renowned university in November 2013 to collect the Bram Stoker Medal for Entertainment, just 1 year after landing her starring role as Rachel Zane in the hit TV series Suits. But 5 years ago the burgeoning actress was not considered for the top prize. Speaking to the Irish Central, former Trinity College student James Wilson said, in 2013, before she started dating Prince Harry, Markle wasn't considered top billing and we almost didn't invite her at all. Even after inviting her, it was decided she wasn't important enough for our top award to become an honorary patron of the society. Instead of being a patron, she received the Bram Stoker Medal, which was named after the former society member who wrote Dracula. The award has also been awarded to other household names including Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill. Meghan was made an honorary member of the Philosophical Society at Trinity College after she delivered a speech several years ago. She also visited the city again in 2014 in her role as a One Young World counselor. One Young World is a UK-based non-profit organisation that gathers young leaders from around the world to develop solutions to the world's most pressing issues. Members include Emma Watson and Justin Trudeau. During the royal couple's tour of the university, Meghan spoke to an American student about the city's diverse culture. Grace Vitale commented on their discussion, saying, "Meghan loved the fact that the city is so multicultural. There was someone from Toronto behind me in the crowd, and she was so excited to see so many Americans too. She's so graceful, elegant, and worldly. I'm obsessed with her." The in-demand royal was also given a special tour of the old library in Trinity College, which contains over 200,000 books. Meghan Markle was also particularly excited to see the historic Book of Kells, which is believed to have been created in 800 AD. Prince Harry also drew attention during the couple's visit. The same balcony where Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, debuted earlier this month may be inaccessible to anyone, even the Queen, in June 2019 due to the long-planned refurbishment of the building. The east wing of Buckingham Palace, where the balcony is located, is the first section to undergo a makeover in the 10-year planned works set to start in April next year. If the refurbishment in the ornate center room, which gives access to the iconic balcony, isn't completed by the beginning of the annual show, royals won't be able to gather there. A senior courtier told the Mail Online hopes were the works would not prevent the royal family from accessing the balcony. But they said it was too soon to make any provision, adding, "It will be assessed. It needs to be safe." Another aide said, "We will be able to provide more details in the autumn, but the expectation is that it will be very much business as usual." This royal refurbishment is only interesting internal areas of the building and won't touch the outside of Buckingham Palace. The planned works will not only affect the area near the balcony, but also royal family's members' private apartments. Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, will have to temporarily move elsewhere in the palace while workers carry out the refurbishment. And Anne, the Princess Royal, has already moved to another apartment at St. James's Palace. The works will take care of some 10 miles of leaky water pipes, 6,500 electrical sockets and a number of dangerous old wiring behind the walls and beneath the floors. And 152 antique toilets will also be replaced. These works will cost taxpayers a whopping £369 million. To carry them out, an incredible 10,000 precious artworks scattered around the palace will have to be removed before the builders arrive. Some of the paintings, vases, Tapestries and statues will be loaned to galleries. Prince Andrew's ex-wife was blacklisted by many members of the firm back in 1992 when pictures emerged of the redhead receiving a toe-sucking from oil tycoon John Bryan. Prince Philip is thought to be so upset at the sex scandal and the subsequent embarrassment to the royal family he will struggle to be in the same room as her at Princess Eugenie's upcoming wedding to Jack Brooksbank. But sources close to the Duchess warn royal family members they will just have to get on with it as Sarah makes a return to the spotlight. An insider close to Princess Eugenie said, "There's a lot of excitement about the day. Sarah and Andrew are just thrilled Euge is getting married and they are all very much in the planning stages at the moment. Sarah is being very hands-on, but in a great way, and Eugenie wants her mom to be a big part of it all and will make sure Sarah is included in every aspect. Her feeling is the other royals will have to get on with it." The Duchess of York, also known as Fergie, and Prince Andrew are said to be organizing an evening reception for the royal wedding in the grounds of Royal Lodge, their family home in Windsor. Sarah has not been an official member of the royal family in 20 years, but still shares a residence with her ex-husband. The pair, who have two daughters, Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, divorced in 1996. A source told Vanity Fair, "The plan is for a marquee to be set up in the grounds and dancing late into the night. Eugenie and Jack are planning the whole thing, but Sarah and Andrew are very involved. Sarah is bringing a very eclectic and exciting guest list to Windsor." Eugenie's grandfather Prince Philip has never forgiven the Duchess of York for the series of scandals that she has put the family through since her 1992 affair with a Texan billionaire. It consequently paved the way for Sarah's exit from the royals in 1992 and her relationship with her in-laws, particularly the Duke of Edinburgh, was left in tatters. Sarah Ferguson was staying at Balmoral when the images were published, and the Windsors came across them in the morning newspapers at the breakfast table. Philip was said to be livid when the mother of two and Prince Andrew's ex-wife took to Instagram on Wednesday night to offer her deepest sympathy to those affected by the tragedy, which has killed at least 81 people and injured more than 187. She posted a photograph of herself alongside Greek politician Elena Countera, writing, "In deepest sympathy to all families in the tragedy of the fires in Greece. Thank you to Elena Countera, the Greek people and services who are working tirelessly in such difficult circumstances." Sarah Ferguson, 58, holidayed in Greece with supermodel Kate Moss back in 2016. Fans of the Duchess, also known as Fergie, quickly praised Sarah and thanked her for her support. One simply said, "You're an amazing woman," while another said, "I admire you so much. Duchess of York." Another added, "Thank you for your support for my country." And another fan posted, "Duchess of York, you are an amazing woman. Such a humanitarian and role model. You are still Fergie to the world, loved and admired for your strengths and loyalty to those in suffering and less fortunate and still loved by so many here in Australia." The wildfire in Greece has caused devastation in Modi village and across Greece since Monday afternoon. Locals and tourists have been forced to flee their homes and hotels, with many sheltering on the beaches nearby, as the worst wildfire in 11 years took hold. Fleeing residents and tourists escaped resorts and homes as the flames blazed through the Rafina region of Greece, 18 miles from Athens. It has left at least 81 people dead and 187 injured. The second royal wedding of the year will take place at St. George's Chapel in Windsor on October 12, and just like Meghan and Harry's nuptials in May, will feature an official reception hosted by the Queen in Windsor Castle directly following the ceremony. However, unlike the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's evening reception which took place at Frogmore House, Princess Eugenie's evening celebration will be located at Royal Lodge, the family home of the Duke and Duchess of York. A source commented on the celebrations to Vanity Fair, stating, "Sarah and Andrew are helping to organize the evening party. The plan is for a marquee to be set up in the grounds and dancing late into the night. Eugenie and Jack are taking overall control of the preparations, but the Duke and Duchess of York are reportedly strongly involved." The source said, "Sarah is being very hands-on, but in a great way, and Eugenie wants her mom to be a big part of it all and will make sure Sarah is included in every aspect. Sarah is bringing a very eclectic and exciting guest list to Windsor. The Duchess of York will likely play a much more prominent role than at Meghan and Harry's nuptials, when she was forced to remain separated from the other members of the royal family. She was spotted hugging Mr. Brooksbank on the way into St. George's Chapel, but was obliged to sit on the non-royal side of the choir alongside a list of celebrities including Serena Williams and George Clooney. And while she received a coveted invitation to the wedding ceremony itself, she was not on the guest list for the exclusive evening reception. The Duchess has had a fractious relationship with the royal family since her divorce from Prince Andrew in 1996, but has maintained a close friendship with her ex-husband. Royal expert Katie Nicholl noted Prince Philip struggles to be in the same room as Sarah, which poses a potential dilemma for the wedding festivities. Another source told the Daily Mail, "Sarah is not a member of the royal family anymore and Prince Charles simply doesn't have time for her." The Duchess of York is nevertheless shrugging off former animosity according to Miss Nicholl, who noted she has already met with numerous designers to plan her outfit for the big day. She is also reportedly relaxed about any encounters with senior members of. It was confirmed on Thursday afternoon that Kate and Meghan will take their places in the royal box on Sunday afternoon. A statement from Kensington Palace said, "The Duchess of Cambridge, Wimbledon patron, and the Duchess of Sussex will attend the ladies' singles final on Saturday the 14th of July. Just hours later, when it was confirmed that Serena Williams had won her place to compete for the trophy, she spoke of how excited she was to have her old friend in the crowd. The Grand Slam legend told reporters she and Meghan always had a wonderful friendship. She said, "Every year for a couple years she comes out to Wimbledon and has supported me. Now she's supporting me in a different role, but our friendship is still exactly the same." Meghan Markle has been pictured at Wimbledon on several occasions in the past, including in the summer of 2016, the summer in which she is thought to have met Prince Harry for the first time. Ms. Williams continued, "We have always supported each other, just been there for each other through a lot. I look forward to it." Serena was pictured with her husband, Reddit founder Alexis Ohanian, at the royal wedding in May. The Duchess of Sussex and the tennis champion have been friends for years, having been photographed together at several events in America. They met in 2010 at the Super Bowl, where Meghan said they hit it off immediately. Writing on her former blog, The Tig, the Duchess of Sussex said, "Taking pictures, laughing through the flag football game we were both playing and chatting not about tennis or acting, but about all the good old-fashioned girly stuff. If Miss Williams takes the title on Sunday, she will write herself into the Wimbledon history books. She would be only the second mother to win the title, only 10 months after she gave birth to her daughter, Olympia." The glowing portrait of the Queen that made it into the young royal's official christening photographs will also be featured in Charles Prince and Parton exhibition at Buckingham Palace. The oil portrait of the Queen was painted from 1872 to 1973 by Michael Noakes, and now visitors will be able to enjoy it up close. The 92-year-old monarch was not present for her third great-grandchild's christening, but there was a clear nod to her. The angle of the photos are different compared to Prince George's official photos, where her portrait was not visible. The Queen was at Prince George's christening and was in the official christening photographs that were also taken in the morning room. There are other personal touches in Prince Charles' exhibition, such as a never-before-seen photo of the Duke of Cornwall cradling his first grandson as Prince William smiles for the camera. Another touching photo is from the Duke and Duchess wedding in May. The exhibition is designed to feel like you are in the drawing room of the Duke of Cornwall's private home Clarence House or his country retreat Hegrove in Gloucestershire. The senior curator of paintings at the Royal Collection Trust, Vanessa Remington, said, "It's a departure because it is not a standard museum display and the works aren't shown in isolation, they're shown in profusion, very, very densely. Tables are dressed with a range of objects, and those are intended to show or give a flavor of the interiors of the Prince of Wales's own residences, because this is a very personal show." Prince Charles has selected more than 100 pieces from private family paintings and photographs to mark his 70th. It was their first engagement together without Princes Harry and William, and the duo were clearly having a lot of fun. English Rose Kate and American actress Meghan made it clear they have formed a special transatlantic relationship of their own since the royal wedding. Meghan cheered on her friend Serena Williams in the ladies' singles final at SW19, but it was a sad end to the day as the seven-time champion lost to Angelique Kerber of Germany 6-3. The Duchesses, who sat in the royal box in centre court to watch the match, arrived at midday and were greeted by cheers from tennis fans waiting for the resumption of the men's singles semi-final between Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic. The match could not be completed on Friday night due to a curfew. Meghan and Kate stopped and spoke with a number of ball boys and girls and junior players. When they passed over a bridge, the crowds gathered below applauded and took pictures. Meghan waved back. She was wearing wide-legged cream trousers with a blue and white Ralph Lauren shirt in a nod to the designer who supplies clothing for the championship's ball boys and girls. She carried a white wide-brimmed hat with a black ribbon. Kate was wearing a Jenny Packham dress with nude suede heels and matching handbag. Meghan and Kate were joined in the royal box by Harry Potter star Emma Watson, McMafia's James Norton, Westworld's Tandy Newton and Wolf Hall's Sir Mark Rylance. Among the celebrities sitting in other areas of the packed centre court were Titanic actress Kate Winslet, radio presenter Chris Evans and True Detective star Woody Harrelson. In keeping with the star-studded occasion, former Women's World #1 Williams had Formula One champion Lewis Hamilton, golfer Tiger Woods and U.S. Vogue editor-in-chief Anna Wintour among her guests in her players' box. After her semi-final win on Thursday, Williams had hailed her wonderful friendship with Meghan and said she was looking forward to her attending. It comes 2 months after the tennis star attended Meghan and Prince Harry's wedding in Windsor. Williams said, "We've always had a wonderful friendship. Every year, for a couple years, she comes out to Wimbledon." And Meghan and Harry arrived at the British ambassador's residence in Glencairn House holding hands and looking as loved up as ever. In one picture from this evening's event, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex looked at each other lovingly and gazed into each other's eyes, both with cheeky smiles on their faces. The pair were photographed giving a toast at the party with the Union Jack flag blowing behind them. The royal couple have been repeatedly pictured enjoying each other's company since their fairy tale wedding in Windsor on May 19. Meghan looked dazzling as she arrived in a stunning Amelia Winstead black dress and stepped out holding hands with a beaming Prince Harry. Meghan looked at ease with her first engagement with her husband, proving that her royal training schedule under the watchful eye of the Queen was paying off. The new Duchess was pictured meeting Irish writer, academic and broadcaster Sinead Burke while at the evening summer party at the British ambassador's residence at Glencairn House. Me and Willie, the Duke of Sussex, met Irish rugby legend Brian O'Driscoll. It's the second outfit change for the Duchess in a single day. Meghan Markle wore a knee-length forest green Givenchy skirt and blouse as Prince Harry wore a classic suit earlier in the day. The pair met the Taoiseach of Ireland Leo Varadkar as they arrived at government buildings in Dublin. Later, Ireland's Taoiseach Leo Varadkar rolled out the red carpet for the Duke and Duchess at Dublin's government buildings when he officially welcomed the couple to his country. Meghan's earring appeared to be inspired by Celtic imagery from designer Vanessa Tugend-Haft. The couple looked loved up a day previous on Monday, when they attended a flypast marking the centenary of the British Royal Air Force. Prince Harry, who served in the British military for a decade, wore a uniform for the official event, while Meghan looked elegant in a navy Dior dress and matching hat by royal milliner Stephen Jones. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex were clearly very affectionate with each other and shared some private jokes as they joined the rest of the royal. The British monarch will meet Mr. Trump and his wife Melanie at Windsor Castle, Berkshire, for tea during the second day of his 4-day trip to the UK, which has sparked fury among protesters who do not want the controversial US president in the country. As for the Queen, though, she has sensationally cancelled plans for a day off today in order to squeeze in the delicious lunch with the power couple. The Queen always has Fridays off, as well as Saturdays and Sundays from official engagements, meaning she works a 4-day week, which is remarkable given her 92 years. But after a busy week of engagements, she put plans to have Friday off and focus on her daily papers on the back burner so she can host tea with the couple. Mr. Trump has told of his delight of meeting the Queen and praised her as a tremendous woman. But it is Mr. Trump's loose-lipped ways that could also land him on hot water with the Queen. There are a number of protocols that must be obeyed when meeting the Queen. Not disclosing personal conversation with the Queen is one of them. Another is touching the Queen. Like Mr. Trump, the Queen prefers a handshake, but he must allow her to take the lead and take her hand if she offers it first. Michelle Obama came under fire when she appeared to put her hand around the monarch's shoulders to gently lead her while walking while meeting the Queen in 2009. Another protocol Mr. Trump must not break is by calling the Queen by her first name, like Nelson Mandela did by calling her Elizabeth. There are 2 ways to greet the Queen when Mr. Trump meets her. He could either bow or shake her hand. But Mr. Trump must be gentle, not just because of her age, but also because it would be deemed catastrophic if he went in white-knuckled and grabbed her hand like he has done with his political counterparts. Mr. Trump famously stormed off before a previous NATO meeting had finished last month. But he should absolutely not do this during his tea with the Queen, because the monarch must always be the first to leave. Mr. and Mrs. Trump's tea will last 2 hours this afternoon, with scones and sandwiches on the menu. Earl Grey will be served in. The 92-year-old monarch was spotted wearing not 1, but 2 pairs of shoes at the military milestone event, and switched from one pair to the other seemingly unnoticed. As she walked alongside Air Chief Marshal Sir Stephen Hillier ahead of the RAF layover, she wore a pair of black loafers that had a brass clasp. But she also wore a pair of patent black blocked heels with a shiny toe first. The brass clasp ones are commonly referred to as her work shoes, as the Queen has been wearing the same design by London shoemaker Anello and Davide for a whopping 5 decades. It takes a team of 4 to produce the classic black numbers that cost £1,000 and are made from a wooden mold of the Queen's feet. The shoes are then taken to the palace for the royal fitting when a new pair is ordered. The Queen also has a pair of white leather shoes, ones with beige leather and 3 designs in satin, silver and gold. Today, the Queen welcomed 2 religious leaders to Windsor Castle wearing summery floral dress. Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury, and Sheikh Ahmed Al-Taib, Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, joined the monarch at the castle. To complement the dress, she wore a pair of black court shoes and a light pink shift dress that was decorated with leaves and flowers. She paired this with a 3-string pearl necklace and pearl earrings and a slim gold watch, and her hair was blow-dried into her traditional regal style. Though she has reduced her workload lately, she still attends many official engagements. After grandson Prince Harry married American former actress Meghan Markle on May 19, she passed much of her Commonwealth duties on. Prince Louis was christened in the Chapel Royal at St. James's Palace last week in an intimate ceremony with the Duke and Duchess' immediate family and close friends. The photos were taken in the historic morning room at Clarence House, and just behind Prince Harry is a portrait of the Queen. The 92-year-old monarch's portrait is of her in her young years wearing blue. Coincidentally or deliberately, Princess Charlotte, Prince George, Carol and Pippa Middleton, Princes Charles, Prince William, Prince Harry, James Matthews and James Middleton were all wearing blue in some fashion. The Duchesses of Cambridge, Cornwall and Prince Louis wore neutral tones in white and cream, and Duchess of Sussex chose an olive green outfit. The Queen was at Prince George's christening and was in the official christening photographs that were also taken in the morning room. However, the angle of the photos were different and her portrait was not visible. It looks like a clear nod to the Queen after she did not attend the christening of her 3rd great-grandchild. When it was announced that the Queen and Duke of Edinburgh would not attend the ceremony, many speculated it was related to Prince Philip's health. Buckingham Palace confirmed the decision was made some time ago. Prince Louis' christening was the newest royal's first official appearance since Kate showed him to the world on the steps of the Linda wing of St Mary's Hospital in London on April 23. It was also the first time the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, Prince George, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis were seen together as a family of 5. Kensington Palace released 4 official portraits from that special day. The photos were taken from Matt Holyoake for Camera Press. Mr. Holyoake said, "I was truly honored at being asked to take the official photographs at the christening of Prince Louis and to witness at first-hand such a happy event." The monarch's royal residence in London counts some 775 rooms, but not all of them are as special as the White Drawing Room. Despite being one of the smallest staterooms at the palace, the Queen regularly uses it to receive guests, from humble citizens to head of countries. But the Queen does not enter the room like any other person in Buckingham Palace, as she has a secret passage linking it to her private apartments that the monarch uses to enter the room before receiving visitors. The door is disguised behind a dresser completed with a floor-to-ceiling mirror, which doubles up as a door. The ornaments on it, 2 candlesticks and a decorative jar, are very similar to others spread around the palace. But, unlike elsewhere, they are glued to the surface to prevent them from falling when the door is pushed. This room, where white and gold dominate, has also been the setting for Christmas broadcast formal family photographs. The White Drawing Room has been recently refurbished and refitted with notable pieces of furniture and objects. Among them, a grand chandelier dominates the room, falling from the center of the ceiling. The room also displays a roll-top desk with a story that goes back hundreds of years. Sitting just in front of the secret door is a desk, thought to have been made in 1775 for the French royal family. It was later purchased in 1825 by King George IV. The Queen leaves Buckingham Palace to move to her summer residence in Scotland during the hottest months of the years. During this period, Royal fans and curious holidaymakers can get a sneak peek of some parts of the majestic residence, including the white drawing room and the lavish gardens. Visitors entering the palace this year will also have the chance to see an exhibition, Prince and Patron, celebrating Prince Charles's upcoming 70th birthday. In this display, the royals are showcasing some artwork and personal family photos from Charles. The retired TV lighting director, 74, gave an interview to the Mail on Sunday just days before his daughter celebrates her 37th birthday. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, is already under pressure amid rumors her half-sister Samantha Markle is set to go into the celebrity Big Brother house next month. Thomas Markle SNR claims his daughter has shut him out of her life since he staged fake paparazzi shots ahead of her royal wedding to Prince Harry, 33, in May. He said, "I'm really hurt that she's cut me off completely. I used to have a phone number and text number for her personal aides at the palace, but after I said a few critical words about the royal family changing Meghan, they cut me off." He went on to say he would have liked to have sent his youngest child a birthday card, but if he sent one to Kensington Palace it would be one among thousands. Thomas, who spoke from his home in Mexico, accused Meghan of having a sense of superiority and said he feared being deprived of a grandchild. He said, "What's sad is that sometime in the next year Meghan and Harry will have a baby and I'll be a grandfather. And if we're not speaking I won't see my grandchild. How tragic is that, to deprive a child of its grandfather, because I said a few things critical of the royal family?" Mr. Markle stated he had just about reached my limit with Meghan and the royal family and said he refused to be silent. He added, "I refuse to stay quiet. What riles me is Meghan's sense of superiority. She'd be nothing without me. I made her the Duchess she is today. Everything that Meghan is, I made her." He also had sharp words for Prince Harry, saying he did not care if he spoke to him again, adding Harry's mother Princess Diana would have loathed how he had been treated. A Buckingham Palace spokeswoman told Express.co.uk they would not comment on what Mr. Markle had said. But this is not the first time Mr. Markle has come under fire for making comments about Meghan and the royal family, and his latest interview is likely to cause them embarrassment. Earlier this month, U.S. media claimed the Duchess had refrained from communicating with her father for fear of her words being leaked to the press. A source told U.S. Weekly, "Meghan is so upset over Thomas. She's upset for a couple of reasons. She doesn't even know how to communicate with her dad without knowing he won't exploit her. She lives in fear that he'll leak their communication. If he's spoken this much already, why wouldn't he leak their conversation?" The former actress has previously described herself as being a dad. The viral footage shows a soldier from the Queen's Guard outside Windsor Castle pushing a tourist out of his way as she posed in front of him for a picture. The tourist appeared to stand on the wrong side of a roped-off area in the Royal Guard's way as he marched up and down his path. With the woman standing on his path, the Queen's Guard appears to barge into her, almost pushing her to the floor. The woman, wearing a yellow dress and sunglasses, can be heard screaming as she is shoved out of the way. The Ministry of Defense could not confirm exactly when the incident took place, but a spokesman said, "The Household Division is proud to guard Her Majesty and honored that people come from around the world to watch our ceremonial spectacle. The ropes are there to protect both the public and our soldiers. Please stay behind them. There are thought to be guidelines in place for Royal Guardsmen to deal with nuisances, which begins with stamping their feet and shouting. Raising a rifle is considered a final warning, after which the guardsman is even allowed to detain the person in question." The Queen's Guards are charged with protecting official royal residences. They are known for their distinctive uniforms of red tunics and bearskin hats. The units, manned by fully trained, serving soldiers, have more than 350 years of history and have defended monarchs since Charles II took the throne after the English Restoration in 1660. The Guards consist of 5 infantry regiments: the Grenadier, Coldstream, Scots, Irish and Welsh Guards, and 2 regiments of the Household Cavalry, the Life Guards and Blues and Royals. Most of the Guards will have seen action. Meghan Markle, 36, arrived at Westminster Abbey with husband Prince Harry, 33, and his father Prince William, 36, at mark the centenary of the Royal Air Force. The couple was caught by the BBC cameras sharing a tender glance as the Duchess of Sussex looked at the ceremony programme and shared a laugh with her husband. The royals will witness a formation of 100 aeroplanes, one for each year of the RAF, flying over their iconic balcony at 1 p.m. The show marks the largest concentration of military aircraft seen over the capital in recent memory and was planned minute by Wing Commander Kevin Gatland. It will last for 9.5 minutes and will require all the pilots' coordination and steady nerves as, despite using different aircraft flying at different speed, they will all have to fly over the palace with a space of 30 seconds between each other. The Duchess of Sussex wore a navy dress which featured a beito neckline and a full-line skirt. She completed the outfit with a navy fascinator and nude pointed-toe stilettos. Her hair was tied back into a tight chignon, and a matching black clutch bag finished off the look. Both Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, and Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge, wore their No-1 RAF uniform. Prince William's featured RAF wings in recognition of being a qualified RAF pilot, while Prince Harry's featured RAF regiment shoulder flashes, in recognition of RAF Honington, the home of the RAF regiment. Harry's shoulder flashes also recognize his role as honorary air commandant of the base. The Queen, Prince Charles. The Queen was joined by Meghan Markle and Prince Harry to honor the Commonwealth's young leaders at the final Queen's Young Leader Awards. Celebrities including David Beckham and Lenny Henry were also invited to the awards ceremony at Buckingham Palace. The Queen was spotted making a World Cup joke as she shook hands with former England football team captain Beckham. She said, "Are you not watching the television?" Beckham and the Queen giggled to the remark, which suggested the former football might rather be catching up on the action in Russia. In the 5 News footage, the Queen then moved on to greet the next guest, boxer and Olympic champion, Nicole Adams. Tuesday marked the 4th annual Young Leaders Awards ceremony, a favorite of the Queen, who organized it to pay tribute to extraordinary young people. This year Prince Harry also became a patron of the program, giving a speech after being introduced by Sir John Major. The Duke of Sussex said, "The issues all of you have chosen to take on are at the core of some of the world's biggest challenges, from tackling stigma around mental health and promoting gender equality, to changing mindsets and habits in order to conserve our natural world. You are all making a huge difference. Your generation is the first that will have to deal hands-on with topics and issues that have been known about for a very long time. You are the future leaders who will need to pick up the baton on issues such as climate change, food security, equality and access to education, and improving the lives of the most vulnerable people in our communities. The pace of change is happening so much faster than it did 100 years ago, or even 50 years ago. A more interconnected world means that any local problem can become a global problem overnight, but at the same time the technology and innovation driving this interconnectivity means that any local solution can become a global solution just as fast. In this rapidly changing world, it is heartening to meet so many inspiring young people gathered here today, who have already stepped up as leaders and improved the lives of so many people across the Commonwealth. You are the hope and optimism the world needs, and we will all do everything that we can to support you in it. One of the best things about the Queen's young leaders coming together this week is having the chance to share the projects you've taken on. You are now part of a community of people trying to do good. I encourage you to nurture these. Prince George, 5, and Princess Charlotte, 3, refer to the Queen as Gan Gan as they discover the joys of life. But George, the third in line to the throne, who recently celebrated his 5th birthday, will be expected to bow to the Queen this year. Upon seeing the monarch, members of the royal family are expected to bow once when she arrives and again when she leaves. Royal historian Marlene Eilers-Koenig told Hello! Magazine, certainly by age 5. The only person they will curtsy or bow to is the sovereign. A royal highness does not curtsy to another royal highness. An insider close to the royal family told People that George has grown up fast and has lost interest in playing with his little sister. They told how the future king is starting to figure out his position in the world. George is very independent now and not as interested in playing with Charlotte all the time. They are close, but George likes to go off and do his own thing. The insider also revealed that Charlotte is growing up really fast. She is the one in charge. The cute royal siblings are making the most of their childhood, with reports claiming that they are spoiled when they stay with their other grandmother, the Duchess mum Carol Middleton. Carol, 63, often feeds George sweets and chips when he accompanies her to the family's party shop in Berkshire, called Party Pieces. And the siblings play at being shopkeepers during a typical day with Carol. And in keeping with the Duchess of Cambridge's wishes to give her children as normal an upbringing as possible, the pair were seen practicing bike riding skills in Hyde Park last week, without stabilizers. Prince George's portrait was released in time for his birthday on July 22 and showing a beaming, happy little boy. The photo, released by his parents Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge, and Prince William, shows a confident boy growing up. But there's one. Today's celebration marked 100 years of the RAF, which saw the largest concentration of military aircraft take to the skies above London. 100 jets, helicopters and aircraft from across a range of different eras of RAF history roared over central London, including World War II aircraft such as the Spitfire and Lancaster bombers. The display also featured the Puma, Chinook, Juno and Jupiter helicopters. The Dacre Brook has become a symbol of gratitude for the work of the British Air Force and is the highest award a female cadet can be granted in the RAF. The Duchess of Sussex was joined by her husband Prince Harry and the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge for the service. She wore a stunning black dress designed by Dior, which featured a beito neckline. But unlike other royal family members, including Kate, who wore the large Dacre brooch on a pastel blue Alexander McQueen dress, Meghan was not wearing a token. The Dacre brooch, which is adorned with jewels, has been awarded to female cadets since 1982. It is awarded to members of the royal family who hold an honorary position within the RAF's bases or squadrons, an honor which Meghan has not been awarded yet. Kate could be seen wearing Air Cadet's Dacre brooch, the highest award any female cadet can achieve, as she arrived at Westminster Abbey for the service. A Buckingham Palace spokesman said that even though the Duchess of Cambridge is not a cadet, she was presented with the brooch as a gift following her appointment as honorary Air Commandant of the organization. The mother of 3 was last seen wearing the statement piece in 2016, when the Air Cadets marked their 75th anniversary. It is expected that former actress Meghan Markle will receive an honor, as her husband Prince Harry served in the British Armed Forces for 10 years. Other female members of the family that wore their brooches included Sophie Wessex, the Duchess of Cambridge, the Duchess of Cornwall and Princess Anne. Sophie Countess of Wessex is Honorary Air Commodore of HMS Daring, 5th Battalion, the Rifles, 5 Rifles, and RAF Woodard. Journalist Angela Levin has claimed the Duke and Duchess of Sussex official royal wedding engagement photos, where Meghan Markle wore a sheer dress, would have been deemed as not quite appropriate by senior royals. But Prince Charles will hold back from criticizing Harry because he feels guilty about this relationship with the prince's mother, Princess Diana. And Prince Philip, 97, has stepped back from laying down the law since his retirement. Writing in Hurry, Conversations with the Prince, Miss Levin said, "It is unlikely that anyone whispered in Prince Harry's ear that such intimate, sexy photographs were perhaps not quite appropriate for a senior royal." The Duke of Edinburgh, who used to lay down the rules for his family, has stepped back since his retirement in August 2017 and aged 96. Prince Charles was unlikely to say anything as he felt guilty about his relationship with the Princess of Wales. He was also thrilled that Harry, who had been miserable for years, seemed to have settled down. Prince William wouldn't either, because he too delights in his brother's obvious happiness. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's engagement photos tipped the royal family from its traditional perch with an intimate set of pictures and poses by the couple. The engagement photos, which includes a black and white portrait of the couple embracing, was published in December last year alongside an endearing but more formal picture of the couple sat together holding hands. The black and white image, taken in the grounds of Frogmore House, shows the prince and his fiancée smiling and embracing as their heads touch. Meghan holds the prince's face, with her engagement ring prominent, as he wraps his arms around her. The other photograph shows the couple, dressed smartly, sat on the steps of the house with the U.S. former actress just below her fiancé. Meghan places her left hand on Prince Harry's right hand, again showing her engagement ring, as they both look at the photographer. A third photo is later released by the palace featuring a candid shot of the couple take on the day of the photo shoot. And Meghan also raised eyebrows for her choice of dress, a £53,000 Ralph and Russo dress, which boasted a sheer top with gold embellishment. As the president of the Football Association, it is no surprise Prince William's children are avid football fans. The royal brother and sister were spotted enjoying a kick-around with their friends near their home in Kensington, according to royal blog Royally Will and Kate. And George, 4, and Charlotte, 3, have their very own Aston Villa kits, following in the footsteps of their father who is a loyal fan of the Birmingham-based team. On a visit to Coventry last year, Kate shared the insight with 9-year-old Brian Mullenby. He said, "Kate told me that George and Charlotte love putting on Villa kits. I told her I am an Arsenal fan, so I don't really like Villa kits," to which Kate jocosely replied, "I have to be loyal to my husband." The news the young royals have their very own Aston Villa kit shows Prince William must have got his way. When asked who he wants his children to support on a visit last year, the Duke of Cambridge said, "The responsible thing would be to say, to let him make his own mind up, but I think I might be quite biased. I haven't quite worked out how to play that yet. But, of course he can support whoever he wants, but if he supports Villa, it'd be fantastic. I'd love to go to the odd match with him in the future. It'll probably end up being that Charlotte is the Villa fan, and George will go and support someone else. And Charlotte has shown good potential as a keen footballer from early on, with Prince William revealing that at the age of 17 months old Charlotte is the one who shows more aptitude for football." During a chat with the England women's team, Steph Houghton and Jill Scott, Harry and Meghan Markle will be up against the clock to return from Ireland to London tomorrow after their flying visit to Dublin. Harry and Meghan arrived in Dublin this afternoon for their first official visit as a royal couple. People lined the streets to welcome the couple as they greeted the Irish Taoiseach, Leo Varadkar, in the Irish capital. But back at home, England is currently in the grip of a football fever, with Gareth Southgate's England team in with a chance to walk away with the Jules Rimet Cup, over 50 years since they last won the coveted trophy. Express.co.uk called Kensington Palace to find out Harry and Meghan's plan of action for the big day, and whether the Duke and Duchess would touch down in England in time for the match. A spokeswoman confirmed the couple are due to leave Ireland at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, 2 hours before kickoff. They also confirmed that Harry would land in the UK at around 6:30 p.m., giving him just half an hour to make it to an apt location to cheer the England squad on, hopefully to victory. The Kensington Palace spokeswoman declined to comment to Express.co.uk on whether the couple would be flying back on a commercial or private jet. However, details have emerged that the couple touched down in Dublin at around 5 p.m. on Tuesday on a private chartered jet, and it looks likely a similar aircraft will bring them home. On arrival, Harry and Meghan Markle were greeted at the bottom of the plane's steps with Britain's ambassador to Ireland, Robin Barnett, his partner Agnieszka Kepka, and senior officials from the British Embassy. Harry and Meghan looked relaxed as they made their way down the steps and shook the hands of the waiting officials in turn, before being led to their car at the head of a motorcade. The possible location of where the Duke and Duchess Maddie watch England gun for glory is still shrouded in mystery. But it is speculated that the couple, on arrival in the UK, would fly from an airport back to Kensington Palace Gardens by helicopter, of which there is a pad in the grounds of the palace. Either way, Harry and Meghan will make the match a top priority after their whirlwind tour of Ireland comes to an end. The royal family are said to be football fans and have been fully behind the Three Lions' successful World Cup campaign. Shortly after the team defeated Sweden 2-0 in a tense quarter-final clash, Prince William congratulated the team through the official Kensington Palace Twitter. He wrote, "You wanted to make history at England, and you are doing just that. This has been an incredible # World Cup run and we've enjoyed every minute. Football's coming home." Both William and Harry are known for being football fans. William is an avid and lifelong Aston Villa fan. Prince Harry is said to be a fan of international matches and has often been heard talking about Arsenal. Meanwhile, the Queen is rumored to be a West Ham supporter. She has remained tight-lipped. The Duchess and Prince William released the image yesterday to mark their son's christening in London, the day after official pictures taken by Matt Holyoke were released. Prince Louis, just 11 weeks old, has grown a head of fine, light hair since his birth a couple of months ago and his eyes appear to be blue. The informal shot comes from William and Kate's batch of private photographs of the family celebration, but they liked it so much, they decided to release it. Kensington Palace tweeted, "The Duke and Duchess hope that everyone enjoys this lovely photograph of Prince Louis as much as they do." It was taken by Matt Porteous, who also photographed Prince George's third birthday celebrations. Mr. Porteous, who was at Clarence House after Prince Louis was baptized at St. James's. Lena Elizabeth joined the Tyndall family in June and is the second daughter of Zara and Mike. Lena is the younger sister of 4-year-old Mia Grace Tyndall, who was born in 2014. The couple announced the name of their daughter Lena 9 days after they welcomed her into the world on June 18. But speaking to Hello Magazine, the Queen's granddaughter revealed why the couple had chosen Lena Elizabeth as the name of their youngest daughter. The mother of two described how she able to choose a more distinct name than the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, who will one day be king and queen. The equestrian champion said, "We were able to be more adventurous than, say, William. It's pronounced Lena. We chose it because it's a name we both like. It's also similar to Mia's because it's distinct, not shortened from another name. Lena, which is of Greek origin, means sunshine." Meanwhile, Elizabeth is believed to be a nod to Zara's grandmother, the Queen. Kate and William's choice of Louis Arthur Charles was a nod to Prince Charles, who also shares the middle name Arthur, and his beloved uncle and honorary grandfather, Lord Mountbatten. Lord Mountbatten, whose first name was Louis, was killed in 1979 after the IRA placed a bomb in his fishing boat. After Lena's birth, Zara's rugby player husband Mike revealed his wife has been doing really well. He said, "Zara's doing really well. She's always amazing, and she's been fantastic again. Mia has been a good big sister and is really enjoying it. We'll see what happens when Lena starts crawling around and getting a bit more attention. A few years down the line it'll be brilliant for them to be playmates." In an official announcement in June, Buckingham Palace said of the birth of Lena, Mrs. Michael Tyndall was safely delivered of a baby girl on the 18th of June, at Stroud Maternity Unit. Mr. Tyndall was present at the birth. The weight of the baby was 9 pounds 3 ounces. The Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh, the Princess Royal, Captain Mark Phillips and Mike's parents, Mr. Philip and Mrs. Linda Tyndall, have been informed and are delighted with the news. The baby's name will be confirmed in due course. Representing the distinctive flora of each Commonwealth country united in one spectacular floral composition. Also included in the design were a California poppy, a sweet nod to the bride's birthplace, and wintersweet, a flower which grows in front of Nottingham Cottage, where Harry and Meghan live at Kensington Palace. Ms. Meghan Markle arrives at St. George's Chapel #pic.twitter.com/HJ79JE8GLV. Stunning and sentimental, it's a tough act to follow. So will Princess Eugenie wear a veil when she walks down the aisle in the second royal wedding of the year? All signs point to yes, as every British royal bride in recent history except Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, at her second wedding to Prince Charles, and Princess Anne at her second wedding to Sir Tim Lawrence, has worn a veil on her wedding day. A better question, perhaps, is will the Queen? On Monday night, President Trump nominated Judge Brett M. Kavanaugh to fill Justice Anthony M. Kennedy's seat on the Supreme Court. The 53-year-old is now a federal appeals court judge in Washington, D.C., and if confirmed, he will continue the convention of every justice having attended two of our country's most elite law schools. Kavanaugh graduated from Yale Law School, just like Clarence Thomas, Sonia Sotomayor, and Samuel Alito. John Roberts, outgoing Justice Anthony Kennedy, Stephen Breyer, Elena Kagan, Neil Gorsuch, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg all attended Harvard Law School. Ginsburg enrolled at Harvard, but ultimately transferred to Columbia when her husband got a job in New York City. The appointment of yet another Yale grad begs the question, does it matter that all of our justices went to the same two rarefied law schools? Harvard and Yale certainly rank as two of the nation's finest law schools, but that doesn't mean that there aren't other excellent law schools around the country. Constitutional scholar Erwin Chemerinsky is uniquely situated to weigh in on this topic. He is a Harvard alumnus himself and is also the founding dean of the University of California, Irvine Law School. "I think there is an image of elitism associated with the Supreme Court," he said. "There are a lot of wonderful law schools in the United States, and also a lot of great lawyers who did not go to Harvard or Yale. Institutionally speaking, The education received at Harvard or Yale is not drastically different from other schools'. JD degree curricula are regulated by the American Bar Association, but the issue has less to do with course offerings and syllabi, and more to do with the culture of these schools. Justices have immense discretion in deciding cases, and there is little dispute that the way they view the world is shaped by their own life experience. Spending 3 years at a rarefied institution such as Harvard or Yale offers a very narrow view of American life. The question of diversity on the court is, of course, much broader than just the institution on their diploma. The court, once the exclusive the territory of white men, has evolved a bit in the last few decades, but there are still many who question how homogeneous it is. We don't see any Asian American on the court, despite there being a large Asian population in the country. We don't see any Middle Easterners on the court, says Rosemary Solomoni, a professor at St. John's University School of Law who has also taught at Harvard University. Geographic and religious diversity is also a sore spot. There was a point up until now when all the members were either Jewish or Catholic, says Solomoni. Most of them came from either coast, many from the New York area, and the only borough not represented on the court at one point was Staten Island. Furthermore, the justices' work experience is also strikingly similar. All of our current justices except Justice Kagan have come from the federal courts of appeals, and none have worked in any of the other branches of the government. Having a perspective beyond the courtroom, Solomoni explains, is invaluable. I always appreciated Justice O'Connor, who had served as Arizona state senator, even when I disagreed with her. I would see in her decisions some sense of policy implications of what the court was deciding. If a certain policy didn't meet constitutional standards, she would give her thoughts on how the legislature might redraft it. She had this different view from the other justices that would often come out in a concurring opinion, where she would agree with the bottom line, but she would see a nuance in the decision that the other justices didn't. Where a judge went to law school affects not only their decision-making process, but also how they run their chambers. Justices tend to take law clerks from the same narrow group of law schools, and studies have shown that justices choose clerk candidates who are more like them. Clerks carry out important research, and it is no secret that clerks often write the first draft of a justice's opinions, though not all. It depends on that justice's way of working. In the past, law schools from other parts of the country have been represented on the court. Justices have come from the University of Michigan, Cincinnati, Albany and Northwestern University law schools, but the Harvard and Yale trend of recent years has become especially pronounced. Not only does that narrow the perspective of the 9 justices who sit on the bench, but it further cements the idea of the court as remote and rarefied. Public image may not be something most justices spend a great deal of time worrying about. They are not, after all, subject to elections, but increasingly, being seen as a bastion of elite values is a liability in the national conversation. Would it be so bad to insist on a wider range? The open letter was posted online after the law school, currently ranked number 1 in the country by U.S. News & World Report, published a press release with quotes from faculty praising the 53-year-old federal appeals court judge. The press release's focus on the nominee's professionalism, pedigree, and service to Yale Law School obscures the true stakes of his nomination and raises a disturbing question. The letter reads, "Is there nothing more important to Yale Law School than its proximity to power and prestige?" It cites several of Kavanaugh's previous rulings and calls his nomination an emergency for democratic life, for our safety and freedom, for the future of our country. His nomination is not an interesting intellectual exercise to be debated amongst classmates and scholars in seminar, the letter continues. Support for Judge Kavanaugh is not apolitical. It is a political choice about the meaning of the Constitution and our vision of democracy, a choice with real consequences for real people. Without a doubt, Judge Kavanaugh is a threat to the most vulnerable. He is a threat to many of us, despite the privilege bestowed by our education, simply because of who we are. Read the letter in its entirety below. July 10, 2018 to Dean Gerken and the Yale Law School leadership. We write today as Yale Law students, alumni, and educators ashamed of our alma mater. Within an hour of Donald Trump's announcement that he would nominate Brett Kavanaugh, IL's single quote 90, to the Supreme Court, the law school published a press release boasting of its alumnus' accomplishment. The school's post included quotes from Yale Law School professors about Judge Kavanaugh's intellect, influence and mentorship of their students. Yet the press release's focus on the nominee's professionalism, pedigree, and service to Yale Law School obscures the true stakes of his nomination and raises a disturbing question: is there nothing more important to Yale Law School than its proximity to power and prestige? Judge Kavanaugh's nomination presents an emergency for democratic life, for our safety and freedom, for the future of our country. His nomination is not an interesting intellectual exercise to be debated amongst classmates and scholars in seminar. Support for Judge Kavanaugh is not apolitical. It is a political choice about the meaning of the Constitution and our vision of democracy, a choice with real consequences for real people. Without a doubt, Judge Kavanaugh is a threat to the most vulnerable. He is a threat to many of us, despite the privilege bestowed by our education, simply because of who we are. Since his campaign launched, Trump has repeatedly promised to appoint justices who would overturn Roe v. Wade. Overturning that decision would endanger the lives of countless people who need or may need abortions, including many who signed this letter. Trump's nomination of Judge Kavanaugh is a reliable way to fulfill his oath. Just a few months ago, Judge Kavanaugh ruled to deny a detained immigrant minor her constitutional right to abortion. Decades-old Supreme Court precedent makes clear that the government may not place an undue burden on a pregnant person's access to abortion. But Judge Kavanaugh clearly did not feel constrained by precedent. What could be a greater obstacle than a cage? The minor had never wavered in her decision to seek an abortion and had received a judicial bypass from a state judge who found that she was competent to make the decision. Yet Kavanaugh condescendingly and disingenuously held that she must wait weeks until she was in a better place to make a choice about her own bodily autonomy, at which point she might not be able to have a legal abortion. Further, Kavanaugh argued that to require immigration authorities to stop blocking her from accessing this right would force the government into complicity. The judge employed similar spurious reasoning in a 2015 dissent, arguing that the ACA's contraceptive mandate violated the rights of religious organizations, even though those organizations were granted an accommodation that allowed them to opt out of providing contraceptive coverage. Kavanaugh's opinions give us grave concern that he will consistently prioritize the beliefs of third parties over the rights of the oppressed, not only when it comes to abortion and contraception, but also regarding other forms of medical care, including care for transgender patients, family privacy, and sexual liberty. Litigants harness this same logic when arguing that institutions have a religious right to discriminate against LGBT people, an issue the court is certain to take up in the years to come. Judge Kavanaugh would also act as a rubber stamp for President Trump's fraud and abuse. Despite working with independent counsel Ken Starr to prosecute Bill Clinton, Judge Kavanaugh has since called upon Congress to exempt sitting presidents from civil suits, criminal investigations, and criminal prosecutions. He has also noted that a serious constitutional question exists regarding whether a president can be criminally indicted and tried while in office. This reversal does not reflect high-minded consideration, but rather naked partisanship. At a time when the president and his associates are under investigation for various serious crimes, including colluding with the Russian government and obstructing justice, Judge Kavanaugh's extreme deference to the executive poses a direct threat to our democracy. As part of his assault on the administrative state based not in law, as he claims, but on policy preference, Judge Kavanaugh has undermined attempts to protect the environment and regulate predatory lenders and for-profit colleges. He has called now defunct net neutrality regulations violations of the First Amendment. If elevated, the judge would pose an existential threat to the government's ability to regulate for the common good and further twist the First Amendment beyond recognition, using it as a sword to advance his personal political preferences. His appointment would usher in a new era of law, with black-robed rulers overriding citizens' choices. Judge Kavanaugh has consistently protected the interests of powerful institutions and disregarded the rights of vulnerable individuals. On the D.C. Circuit, he denied a student with disabilities access to the remedial education he was promised after he emerged from juvenile detention. In a 2008 dissent, Judge Kavanaugh argued undocumented workers are not protected by labor laws. In 2016, Judge Kavanaugh ruled that employers can require employees to waive their right to picket. In a concurrence, he argued that the National Security Agency's sweeping call surveillance program was consistent with the Fourth Amendment. As an attorney, he advocated for prayer at open public school events in brazen contravention of our country's separation of church and state. The list goes on. We see in these rulings an intellectually and morally bankrupt ideologue intent on rolling back our rights and the rights of our clients. Judge Kavanaugh's resume is certainly marked by prestige, groomed for exactly this nomination. But degrees and clerkships should not be the only, or even the primary, credential for a Supreme Court appointment. A commitment to law and justice is. Now is the time for moral courage, which for Yale Law School comes at so little cost. Perhaps you, as an institution and as individuals, will benefit less from Judge Kavanaugh's ascendant power if you withhold your support. Perhaps Judge Kavanaugh will be less likely to hire your favorite students. But people will die if he is confirmed. We hope you agree your sacrifice would be worth it. Please use your authority and platform to expose the stakes of this moment and the threat that Judge Kavanaugh poses. Signed, Dana Bolger, ILS 19 Alexandra Brodsky, ILS 16 Alyssa Peterson, ILS 19 Emma Roth, ILS 17 Bertelaine Elise, ILS 19 Catherine Pogin, ILS 20 Valeria Pellet del Toro, ILS 19 Jonathan Cohen, ILS 20 Olivia Graffio Cohen Horton, ILS 17 Isra Said, ILS 19 Venus Subramanian, ILS 19 John Petkin, ILS 19 Ricky Zacharias, ILS 19 Laura McCready, ILS 18 Molly Catherine Anderson, ILS 19 Rebecca Chan, ILS 18 Camila Vega, ILS 18 Farron Tang, ILS 18 Kath Shu, ILS 20 Megan Brooks, ILS 19 Miriam Becker Cohen, ILS 18 Wally Hilk, ILS 18 Jason Birkenfeld, ILS 17 Brian Highsmith, ILS 17 Emma Thurber Stone, ILS 19 William Stone, ILS 17 Delaney Gilo, ILS 18 Cassie Crockett, ILS 17 Rachel Tuckman, ILS 17 Norani Gielski Eichner, single quote 18 Sagine Strohmeyer, single quote 16 Dorothy Tegeler, single quote 16 Greg Gonsalves, Associate Professor Adjunct of Law and Co-Director of Global Health Justice Partnership Swapna Reddy, single quote 16 Maya Menlo, single quote 18 Will Bloom, single quote 17 Erica Niborg Birch, single quote 16 Scott Stern, single quote 20 Jenny DeMaw, single quote 20 Zachary Hers, single quote 14 Jessica Purcell, single quote 17 Monica Cothery, single quote 16 Amber Qureshi, single quote 19 Joe Muller, single quote 19 Julia Koppelman, single quote 20 Rachel Scher, single quote 17 Leith Uckel, single quote 20 Megan Waxpress, single quote 15 John Gonzalez, single quote 20 Punyam Daryani, Global Health Justice Partnership Clinical Fellow Joseph Myers, single quote 18 Samuel Davis, single quote 20 Charles Diu, single quote 17 Elise Wonder, single quote 19 Asim Mehta, single quote 20 Zain Rizvi, single quote 17 Erica Turret, single quote 20 Cal Soto, single quote 14 Samir Chewand, single quote 18 Carl Jong, single quote 20 James Bandari Alexander, visiting clinical lecturer in Lausanne New Old Mariam, single quote 19 Jacob Bennett, single quote 19 Ted Lee, single quote 18 Helen Diagama, single quote 17 Catherine Crook, single quote 19 Samantha Smith, single quote 19 Derek Mraz, single quote 19 Alda Yuan, single quote 18 Mega Ram, single quote 18 Diane Lake, single quote 20 Ruth Lazenby, single quote 19 Becca Steinberg, single quote 20 Bina Peltz Mills, single quote 19 Nicole Brambila, single quote 19 Stephanie Garlock, single quote 20 Ollie Gifford, single quote 18 Susan Lynn, single quote 04 Corey Gilmet, single quote 16 Kai Fees, single quote 18 El Samoda, single quote 20 Alyssa Yamamoto, single quote 18 Josh Lee, single quote 05 Aidan Martinez, single quote 17 Charlotte Schwartz, single quote 19 Natalia Friedlander, single quote 18 Juliana Moraes Liu, single quote 20 Yasin Agassi, single quote 19 Zach Fields, single quote 20 Sonia Schoenberger, single quote 20 Patrick Baker, single quote 18 Mark Beer Hanyu, single quote 19 Kelly Wilson, single quote 18 Samantha Peltz, single quote 20 John Lewis, single quote 14 Claire Kane Yale, single quote 14 single quote 19 Jorge Bonilla, single quote 19 Hannah Hussey, single quote 20 G's Marks, single quote 18 Ali Arias, single quote 19 Gregory D. Phillips, single quote 83 Amit Jain, single quote 18 Bethany Hill, single quote 18 Joanne Lee, single quote 18 Zachary Manfredi, single quote 17 Healy Cole, single quote 19 Monica Kai, single quote 20 Leanne Gale, single quote 20 Rachel Kogan, single quote 19 Ted Wojcik, single quote 15 Sarah Gundy, single quote 18 Ryan Cooper, single quote 15 Jonathan Gray, single quote 18 Shannon Manley, single quote 20 Constance Zheng, single quote 18 Rebecca Gentleman, single quote 19 Mary Yannick, single quote 14 Julie Krishnaswamy, Associate Law Librarian, Lillian Goldman Law Librarian Munkemeyer, single quote 19 Max Reinhardt, single quote 20 Alda Yuan, single quote 18 Molly Weston Williamson, single quote 13 David Singh Gruel, single quote 02 Professor of Law Sheila Ramesh, single quote 14 Samantha Schnell, single quote 19 Leika Abdulali, Il single quote 18 Matt Lifson, il single quote 19 Alonger, il single quote 16 Rhoda Hassan, il single quote 19 Jesse Williams, il single quote 20 Elizabeth Villarreal, il single quote 19 Noah Zatz, il single quote 99 Antonio Grayson, single quote 21 Taylor Henley, il single quote 17 Andrew Volkic, il single quote 17 Pauline Ciernik, il single quote 19 Kathy Liu, il single quote 18 Eric Baudry, il single quote 19 Matthew Noah Smith, lecturer in law 2007 Anil Kelhane, il single quote 99 Catherine Abrams, il single quote 84 Petey Mans, il single quote 20 Gabe Lewin, il single quote 20 Sanyukta Paul, il single quote 03 Joel Sadi, il single quote 22 Andrew Chin, il single quote 98 Henry Weaver, il single quote 18 Michael Yarbrough, il single quote 09 Charles U. Farley, il single quote 04 Michael Wright, il single quote 15 Daniel Hornung, il single quote 20 Brian Sweeney, il single quote 15 Chandini Ya, il single quote 21 Solomon Arawoola, il single quote 20 Julie Walensky, il single quote 07 Gauri Ramachandran, il single quote 03 Daniel Friedman, il single quote 14 Ashraf Ahmed, il single quote 19 Alice Clapman, il single quote 03 Alexander Stevens, il single quote 02 Rebecca Matsumura, il single quote 15 Artie Kanokar Wilson, il single quote 07 Rishi Gupta, il single quote 04 Jennifer Hunter, il single quote 03 Caitlin Wilburn, il single quote 15 Taliesin Zweig, il single quote 17 Jonathan Zasloff, il single quote 93 Michael Stone, il single quote 79 Thomas Jarrett, il single quote 95 Valentina Garzon, il single quote 19 Carrie Lasser, il single quote 02 Megan Wolf, il single quote 13 Matthew W. Alsdorf, il single quote 04 Arish Gyasi, il single quote 18 Jessica Sager, il single quote 99 Amos Friedland, il single quote 08 Catherine Carter, il single quote 14 Andrea Parenti, il single quote 19 Deborah Marcus, il single quote 08 Emily Rock, il single quote 14 Tal Clement, il single quote 01 Tom Jewetts, il single quote 03 Maria Polzetti, single quote 06 Sophia Wang, il single quote 17 Stephen Ruckman, il single quote 08 Deborah Gaines, YC single quote 82 Daniel K. Phillips, il single quote 20 Heather Khan, il single quote 04 Tara J. Mellish, il single quote 00 Damon Himmerdinger, single quote 98 Benjamin Brady, il single quote 00 Kimberly West Falcon, il single quote 95 Anna Levine, il single quote 03 David Yarrows, il single quote 01 Kate Gibson, il single quote 14 Lynette Lim, il single quote 20 Asher Smith, il single quote 14 David Emdreeson, il single quote 89 Alexei Shaw, il single quote 17 Felicia Miles, il single quote 21 Carl Berry, il single quote 07 Jonah Goldberg, il single quote 15 Marvin C. Brown IV, il single quote 16 Sam Brill, il single quote 18 Marissa Roy, il single quote 17 Kayla Morin, il single quote 20 Matt Kellner, il single quote 21 Katie Chandler Ian, il single quote 12 Kate Mogulescu, il single quote 03 Turai Parang, il single quote 99 Emily Jane Odell, il's resident fellow in Islamic law David Menchel, il's single quote 02 Elizabeth Pearson, il's single quote 18 Vanita Kalra, il's single quote 06 Susanna D. Everts, il's single quote 18 Simon Sandoval Moschenberg, il's single quote 08 Rokana, il's single quote 01 Nathan J. Robinson, il's single quote 14 Patrick Woolsey, il's single quote 19 Rachel Dempsey, il's single quote 15 Felicia Medina, il's single quote 06 Nicole Hallett, 08 Rebecca Bernhard, 97 Bob Johnson, 07 Michael Tyag, 21 Neil Abala, 12 Interpol Gruel, Professor, Yale University Mike Ongo, 17 Daryl Lee, 09 Christopher Lepinig, 13 Grant Damon Feng, 14 Emily Teplin Fox, 07 Rakiba Huck, 07 Limmerman, 05 Abigail Rich, 16 Lance Martinez, 96 Daniel Margolis, 04 J. Stephen Clark, 95 Jessica Gordon, 09 Stephen B. Cohen, 71 Zach Strasburger, 12 Aisha Saad, 18 Josh McLaurin, 14 Joel Ramirez, 17 Betty Hung, 97 Rebecca Weston, 91 Anjali Srinivasan, 11 Blake Emerson, 16 Alan H. Kleinman, 77 Bryn Williams, 14 Elliot Forhan, 13 Abigail Pershing, 20 Steph Cha, 10 Ann Manoff, 21 Nancy Yun Tang, 19 Shahana Basu, 99 Narankon, 11 Zriram MK, 06 Christine Beckerel, 15 Samia Manohar, 08 Robbie Silverman, 10 Joshua Tate, 02 Kanya Krishnaswamy, 13 David LeBeau, 16 Aaron Conroy, 04 Rhonda Wasserman, 83 Gillian Hewitt, 15 Sophia Nelson, 13 Lauren Olikovsky, 11 Teresa Lee, 10 James J. Williamson, 13 Mark W. Wickersham, 96 Michael Omelina, 02 Sid Oppenheimer, 04 Kate Magaram, 09 Jesse Tripathi, 21 Anna Aarons, 15 Joe Nanya, 19 Molly Pechnick, 21 Sarah Donnelly, 09 Peter Chen, 13 Elizabeth Compa, 11 Harriet Robinson Gawanluk, 86 Mackenzie Pontoya, 21 Paul Son, 92 Andrew de Guglielmo, 21 Susan Hazeldine, 01 Johanna Kalb, 06 Issa Kohler Hausman, 08 Associate Professor of Law Yale Angela Thompson, 07 Catherine Demby, 16 Alan Hernandez, 21 Nico Price, 20 Mark Malaspina, 97 Pamela Davis, 93 Bassam Georgi, 17 Margaret Betts, 03 Alison Tate, 11 Julian Prescope, 09 Claire Benoit, 21 Sarah Servants, 20 Zarina Gruel, ASIC Professor, Yale University Caitlin Minor Legrand, 13 Kara Reichard, 20 Alial Perovich, 03 Amanda Gutierrez, 12 David Siegel, Visiting Fellow ISP, 14 Katie Massner Hage, 13 Gabriel J. Chin, LL.M. 95 Sri Kunlans, 13 Helen Lee, 17 Jesselyn Brown Radak, 95 Sean C. Foley, 21 Perzada Ahmad, 21 Laura Soldivia, Ills JSD single quote 15 Wesley Kennedy, Ills single quote 84 Jennifer Sung, Ills single quote 04 M Sokolov Rubin, Ills single quote 18 Alexander Taubes, Ills single quote 15 Josh Rosenthal, Ills single quote 13 Andrew P. Props, Ills single quote 09 Kim Clayton Hirschman, Ills single quote 92 Adrian Gonzalez, Ills single quote 19 Laura Cocotelo, Ills single quote 20 Jonathan Smith, Ills 12 Reed Schuler, Ills single quote 13 Seth Wayne, Ills single quote 11 L. D. Woodhull, Ills single quote 95 Georgie Boge Jarity single quote 96 Olivia Luna, Ills single quote 15 Sam Frizzle, Ills single quote 20 Kirill Penchin, Ills single quote 09 Kate Levian, Ills single quote 21 Matt Nguyen, Ills single quote 19 Zachary Turgeon, Ills single quote 21 Devin Race, Ills single quote 19 Marcus L. Penzel, Ills single quote 85 Molly Berkowitz, Ills single quote 21 Angeli Dale, Ills single quote 10 Rudy Pontoya, Ills single quote 20 Sarah Epler Epstein, Ills single quote 21 Jessica Weissel, Ills single quote 94 Maud Young Geiserleaf, Ills single quote 08 Elizabeth Kaplan, Ills single quote 89 Miera Tandon, Ills single quote 96 Jill Morrison, Ills single quote 95 Chris Kemet, Ills single quote 05 Alyssa Bryady, Ills single quote 13 David Ward, Ills single quote 98 Amy Stake, Ills single quote 12 Zach Summers.